If you want proof this league flips fast, week 7 is the perfect example of that. 8 games across Friday and Saturday, 5 on Friday. Saskatchewan and Vegas with 36 combined goals, 21-15 rush win. Keenan putting up 6 and 6. Huge night for that guy. Then you get Halifax on a doubleheader. Oshawa coming in that second game and absolutely killing it. 16-9 win. Ty Kurtz recording 10 points that game. And on top of all of that, I've got a big interview today with a guy who's played Division 1 lacrosse, played in the Minto Cup, and has taken a path through the sport that has a lot of people don't actually understand. So today we're breaking down what was real, what was noise, and who actually made a statement. Let's go. Welcome back. My name is Jake McDonald. I'm Anything Lacrosse, and this is the game that never sits still. Big episode today, guys. But right away, let's start off by leaving a comment about what you want to see on these episodes right away. Also, if you are, go join my Facebook page. I just started that this week, so I've only got a few followers on there. If you're on Facebook, like me, you're old, go join on there. But I'm also trying to expand on Instagram as well. Obviously on TikTok, my OG, and then X always. So go follow all the platforms. I really appreciate it, you guys. The more I can get out there, I think, and my voice get heard, the more I can bring to this community. So that's what it's all about. I love building this Anything Lacrosse community. The Discord is always growing, and the conversations that go on in there are just amazing. So if you're not in the Discord as well, go check it out. Anyway, so right away, I would like to talk about a format update. So, or the way I do my podcast. So recently, how I've been doing my podcast have been, one interview a week. I've been doing, the preview or the recap of the weekend on the one episode, and then on Thursday's episode, I'll bring you kind of preview of the week, talk any news that's going on, all that kind of stuff, right? So I think we're going to change up the format a little bit. I know I mentioned this last week. We are changing the format. I'm going to do one box lacrosse podcast a week and one field lacrosse podcast a week. Now, there's a lot of guys in box that don't like field. There's a lot of guys in field that don't like box. Personally, the more I watch lacrosse in general, whether that be box or field, but the more I watch box, the more I can enjoy field because I know what's going on. Now, the rule set's different, all that stuff. We're going to get into that on my next podcast. This is going to be my full box podcast. So this week, you're going to get a lot of information because you're going to get, usually what I do in 2 podcasts, I'm throwing into one, but we're not going to we're not going to skip out on the information that gets posted on here, guys. Like, this is still going to be super in depth. That's my shtick. I want to bring you guys as many facts as I can. If that's what you guys are listening for, whatever it may be, right? But this is the way I'm doing it. If you think that I'm going too in deep or too in depth, please let me know. But this is kind of the way I like to do it. I like to go over everything really in depth through each game, all the stats, kind of tell you what's going on. So you guys feel like even if you missed the weekend, you can still feel like you watched the weekend almost. So that's kind of what I like to do. So we're going to be changing the format to this essentially where I go over, come on, I always talk about the news. So even in my field lacrosse podcast, I will be still touching on anything that's breaking or massive news going on in box. Like, if there's something huge going on, we'll be talking about it a little bit there. But basically, this is going to be my box lacrosse podcast. And then on my Thursdays episodes are going to be my field lacrosse podcast. With college starting, I want to get into college. I also would like to get into PLL. I want to be able to bring guys in that are only field fans, bring them over to box. I'd also like to do the same thing maybe for box, right? Help both out. We'll see. I could also honestly watch a full season of the field and maybe think, you know what, box is just where I love. Like, that's where I'm passionate. So, I'm going to give it a really good open-minded chance this season. I'm going to watch a full season of college. I'm going to watch a full season of the PLL. I'm going to try to watch as many games as I can. At the end of the day, box will always be my baby. It'll always be how I got into the sport, and it'll probably always be my favorite because I love box. It's controlled chaos, and that's really how my life is. So I got, with that being said, that's why I love box so much. So, and just the contact and everything. But I'm noticing a lot of these skilled, really high level players are coming over from field. So it would be nice to go watch some field stuff and get to watch them develop through their 4 years in college. And then when they come into the league, I'm really going to be able to be, knowledgeable and all that kind of stuff and be able to tell you guys exactly who to look for. So it's also about a little bit of, scouting reports and all that kind of stuff as well. On top of that, though, that doesn't mean I'm going to leave box alone. Like, I'm going to be covering the junior, the OJLL. I'm hoping to do a little bit of OJBLL stuff. Obviously, we'll be doing, the WLA, or not the WLA, or yeah, the WLA. We'll be doing the WLLA. We'll be doing the MSL as well. We're going to be doing everything box over the summer as well. So that's why I think with doing it this way, I'm going to have lots of content for you guys to come. And you're going to be like, probably sick of looking at my face, to be honest with you, if you're on any of my video, like if you're watching this on YouTube or watching any of my clips. I try to post quite a bit. So I know I'm starting to get out there a little bit. Anyway, so that's kind of my plan. If you guys absolutely hate that, you want me to just stick and focus on box purely, please let me know. But it kind of just gives me an idea. I think it's a good way to bring new fans to both sports or to both styles of this sport. And there's guys that play in the NLL and PLL. And there's guys who play in the NLL and Summer League. So I'm pumped. I love it. And the more lacrosse, the better. And I think this should be able to keep me going all year pretty much. So let's get right into the news, okay? So there's a big injury this weekend. Mitch Snu went down. I haven't heard how bad it is, how serious it is, how long he's going to be out, but that is a massive loss for Buffalo. Buffalo's heart and soul. Mitch Snu, he had all that drama over the summer with the contract and finally gets settled into Buffalo, gets to play where he wants, going to school, all that stuff, and then has to go through an injury. Now, this is not ideal. And hopefully we get to see him again. Hopefully it's not too serious. I really, it looked pretty bad to me when I was watching it, but it is what it is, man. Like, I mean, this is part of contact sports. It happens. It's just unfortunate that this guy cannot catch a break because he is one of the best defensemen in the leagues. In the league, when he is healthy, when he's on, when he's not dealing with all this outside circus noise. Haven't got to watch Mitch Snu all that much, being a newer fan, but the little bit that I've seen and all the highlights that I've seen and stuff has been just fantastic. That guy's a different level of player. And I pray for Buffalo's sake that he can come back because that's a big piece you have to fill. With that being said, Buffalo will obviously be fine. They'll be Buffalo, but they're going to need all the help they can get because some of these teams are really good, and it's going to be, it's going to be hard to, to make it to to get that fourth. I know everyone's hating on Buffalo because I get it. If you're a fan of, if you're a fan from any other fan base, I understand why you would hate on Buffalo. It makes complete sense. If I was a fan of any of these teams, I would hate on Buffalo. But being a neutral lacrosse fan, I love watching Buffalo play. I love greatness. I love dynasties. So for me, I would love to see Buffalo win another, like a fourth championship in a row, and we get to watch history, and then maybe ride for five, right? So we'll see what happens. But I know the league, anybody else in the league, really hates that idea. I get it, but as a neutral fan, it is really cool to watch. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about, just touch on quick, is Halifax physicality. There's a lot of guys that are saying they're a dirty team. I haven't heard this just from one person. I've heard this from multiple people. To me, does Halifax play on the edge? Yes, Halifax plays on the edge. I will fully agree with that. Are they downright dirty? I don't think so. That's my take on this. I don't think they're a dirty team. I think they try to play on the edge and shit happens. I think people forget about this, that this is a team of native guys, man. And no disrespect when I say that. Native guys grow up in a physical environment, in a physical lacrosse. So they are just, this is the way they're used to playing. This is what kind of gives Halifax its edge, is the way they are physical. The problem is they're undisciplined. What's happening is they're letting their anger take over and they're letting their emotions get to them instead of focusing on winning the game. Now, the first game they played pretty good, honestly. The first game of the week played great, right? Beat a solid team. The second game of the week in Oshawa, though, they just were frustrated. They got outplayed, and then they just started kind of screwing around in the last little bit, especially that goalie play. Now, a lot of people said, oh, that was dirty of Theed to go in there. Personally, when I watched it, I rewatched this about 15 times, 20 times, because I don't like to comment. I was live with Michael Carvelis of the Daily Dive, and I was kind of just, watching it. And I was watching a different game, I think is what it was. I had my eyes on. So I went back and watched it, and I didn't want to comment on it too much at the time because I didn't get to see it fully. And I want to rewatch it. To me, when Theed goes in there, it looks like his head's down. It does not look like he's intentionally trying to go whack Hartley in the face. Like, it doesn't look like he's punching him in the face on purpose. Did that happen? Wasn't percent. It happened. When Theed got up, Hartley was kind of coming at him, and so Theed went at him again and went to push him. Hartley pushed him. That was it. So to me, I don't think that was intentional to do that. I think that was all reactionary. That's my own opinion on it. I know things move very fast in the NLL, but I personally just don't see any player in the NLL that I've seen so far out here trying to intentionally hurt other players. That's my own opinion. Shit happens. This is a high-speed game. I'm not saying stuff doesn't happen. It does. And I'm not trying to say excuse it either. That was still uncalled for, what he did. He shouldn't have pushed the goalie. I think goalies are basically untouchable in my opinion, especially in the crease. If they're out of the crease, it's a different conversation. But if they're in that crease, I don't think you should be hitting the goalie. This goes back to my thing where that I think if you're in the crease, you're at fault for any penalties that happen in there. I don't care if the goalie leans into you. If you're in the crease and you make contact with the goalie, then you should be dealt with. Like, you should be taken out. Now, again, goes back to Rochester needs some guys that can throw down. All these guys need that, because that's the thing I was saying to Michael Carvelis. Are we going back to this thing where you kind of need some guys who can throw down so these other teams don't bully you? Because Halifax is kind of being a little bit of the bullies, right? They have such a offensively great team, but when they do start losing and they do start, kind of things don't go their way, they get mad, they get frustrated, they take it out aggressively and physically. Again, it's a double-edged sword. You get cut sometimes, and you also, it works out for you other times. It's just kind of the way it goes. This is their style. And it gets a little murky on where's the line on where does it go from being like you're just trying to be competitive and you're passionate about the team, because I love watching players like that, but you also don't want to see players try to go out there and get hurt. So this is just kind of my take on this whole situation. I know there's lots of other different takes on this, but this is my take. So this is the way I feel about it, and I understand that I can see why people look at it like the other way. I really can, but to me, I don't think anybody's out there intentionally hurting anybody. I don't think anybody's I don't think Halifax is quote unquote a dirty team. I think they're a very physical team. Do they go over the line sometimes? Absolutely. I think is that their intention to do that? Absolutely not. I don't think it is. I think it's just kind of par for the course. Give them penalties. If you have to suspend them to show them, that's up to the league, right? That's what I said. I put a video out where it showed the clip of Theed, I think it was, and then is this suspendable? Is this a finable offense? You know what I mean? Spend or fined, because that's kind of what the way I looked at it is like, I could see it being a suspendable offense. Again, this is to me goes back to we need to just keep players out of the crease. Now, and this is fine. I'm not even against players going into the crease, just to make this crystal clear, because I know last time I said this, people didn't like this. I'm saying that if the player makes contact with the goalie in the crease, it is 1000% on that player and not on the goalie. Well, the goalie leaned into me. Okay. If that goalie leans into you and it's out of the crease, his body, any part of his body goes outside that crease, then you can put it on the goalie. If that whole goalie's body is inside that crease and the player makes contact, then that is on the player, in my opinion. That goes for any goals that go in, anything like that. That's just my take on it. Coming from, and not like a very still, I consider myself a very new lacrosse fan. I know I've been schooled in certain things. I don't think the rule's wrong. I don't think the refs are calling it wrong. I think the rule itself is wrong. It needs to be changed. I understand why it's been changed around a couple times before because I've looked into it. But I think we need to go, whether that go back to then nobody in the crease or whatever, or whether we go back to if the contact is made, it's a player's fault. I think that's kind of where we need to live, inside that crease. That's just my opinion. So again, back to it though. Is Halifax playing a little aggressive? Yeah, they are. Like, I'll be the first one to tell you. Are they a dirty team? I can't call them a dirty team yet. No, man. I know that a lot of people are calling them a dirty team. I don't think you understand the style of play. And I go out there and beat them up, man. Go, like, legit. Where are your enforcers? Where are your guys that can stand up to these Halifax players? Instead of crying and whining about it, to be honest, go get yourself somebody who can go in there, and maybe Halifax won't want to deal with it. That's my opinion on it, to be honest with you. Now, I don't think there should be dirty stuff. Don't get me wrong. Call them. Call the penalties as needed. But it's Halifax style. You need to be able to push back. Halifax are a bit of bullies, and the only way to deal with a bully is to stand up for yourself. So that's my opinion on it. Trying to downplay the physicality in this game is not the way to grow this game, in my opinion. The physicality it's what gives this game the flavor it needs, and that makes it stand out from other games, especially with hockey going soft. Like, I don't know if you've watched hockey recently. I do all the time. It's soft compared to what it used to be. Okay. We need to keep this physicality going. And that's the problem with when people start flipping out on it, is like, they're being dirty. It's like, you know what? I've rewatched it a bunch of times now. And to be honest with you, shit happens. It did not look like it was intentional to me. You guys can take it the way you want, but that's just the way I look at it. So anyway, rundown, because this is going to be a long podcast. Like I said, guys, I'm already quite a bit in here, and this is going to be a long podcast. We have an amazing interview today, which I'm going to talk about in a minute here. And you're going to go into this. So basically, I should actually go over the structure. Now that we're done through the news, let's go over the structure of the podcast, what it's going to actually look like here, okay? So this is what my box lacrosse structure podcast is going to basically look like. We're going to do you're going to hear the cold open. You're going to come into the intro music. You're going to get the welcome message. And after that, I'm going to do the news, okay? We're going to just, like we just kind of went over, any big stories that are floating around, anything I really think that needs to be spotlighted. Also, we're going to be talking about, then I'll be going over the scores of the week. So I'll just give you a run through every score really quick. Then we're going to do whatever interview I have. Now, today we have Josh Mills on in an interview. If you don't know who he is, I ask you to go follow him. I went and looked up some of his highlights. This kid is a freaking stud, man. He's going to be a high draft pick in 2028 when he comes out. He's smart. He's going to school first. He loves box lacrosse, but education's key, and that's where Division I lacrosse really has the advantage. They give you an education. These kids can, with this high level lacrosse skill set, they can go get an education, and then that guarantees them, because at the end of the day, it's a very small percentage of kids that get to the NLL, right? Players in general, not just kids. So if you can have that potential to go to the NLL and then get to play in college lacrosse and get to build connections and get an education, that's the way to go. Scores, then an interview, and then we'll get into the really deep stuff. So, if you don't like listening to the interview, skip through it. Or if you want to just hang around, listen to the whole podcast, great. You're probably going to be a couple sittings, honestly, the way this is going to be looking like. Then we'll be good. So after the interview, like I said, we'll be going into, each game, like I always do, very thoroughly. Then we're going to go into, I'll give you my power rankings, and then I'll also check my, the league leaders, the standings. I will also give you my, my weekly awards, my offensive player of the week, my rookie of the week, my, all the, like my defense player of the week, my goalie of the week. And then we'll go into a preview of the following week, and that will be the episode. So that's basically how we're going to structure this podcast from now on going forward. And I know, again, it's going to be a long podcast, guys. I think it's going to be a long podcast, but it's going to be worth it, because at the end of the day, I've been kind of going back and forth on this. I already do 2 podcasts a week. So to try and add a third one would be it's just too much. So I gotta do it this way. I really want to get into field. I really want to try to expand that side of everything as well, and hopefully bring some fans over. Right. So with all that being said, let's get right into the scores of the week. Now this was another absolute banger of a weekend. Now I'm not sure if five's a record for a Friday games, but it's got to be up there if it's not. Someone put in the comments if it's a record or not. But we had 8 games this weekend and spoiled. What a fantastic job by the league. Double header on TSN. Amazing. I wish they would put the viewership numbers out, or I wish I could get my hands on them to tell you guys because I would love to know that stuff. But unfortunately, from my understanding, they don't have those accessible, and I would love to know those to see what we're actually looking at. Because I can tell you, I'm watching all these games, and I know a lot of other good people are too. So it'd be nice to see the numbers. Anyway, so we got Halifax beating Ottawa 13-11. Hard game. Ottawa is the top team. This wasn't surprising to me. I knew that Halifax was going to lose three in a row. You had Rochester beating Philly 16-13. Rochester is such an elite offense. Vancouver beating Calgary 11-10 in overtime. This one was closer than I thought it was going to be. I think a lot of people, this was closer than a lot of other people thought it was going to be. Then you had Saskatchewan, which I honestly probably called the game of the week. 21-15, 36 goals, just insane. You want to see offense? Go look at that. That was just Saskatchewan's terrifying. You have Toronto versus San Diego. Toronto needed this win, 12-7 win over San Diego. This was a big win for Toronto. San Diego, what are they doing? I don't know. They have a massive back end issue. They couldn't put goals up this Toronto did a great job in defense, but wow. Then you had Buffalo versus Rochester, their second game of the weekend, Rochester, and Rochester pulls it out 12-9. And I got news for you. This is the game. I was a hater. I'm not a hater anymore. I'm on the Rochester train. They are the real deal. Uh, Spoiler alert, they're my number 2 on my power rankings. They are the real deal, guys. They really are. Now, I still think they're going to have a harder time scoring on Saskatchewan and stuff, but now you're getting down to where they're only going to have a hard time scoring on 2 or 3 teams in the league. I can't really deny this anymore, guys. They, partly when he's on, and what they did against Buffalo was fantastic. What a massive win for them. That really proved to me, at least, that they're the real deal. And I think it's shut all the other haters up too. And this is the thing. I always say I will admit when I'm wrong. And this is one of those times. And then we've got Oshawa beating Halifax 16-9. Halifax, this was a physical game like I talked about earlier a little bit. And go watch it yourself. Go watch the replays because it was a really good game to watch. Then you had Colorado beating Georgia 7-5. And this was a defensive goalie battle. I knew this was going to look like this. But when everything plays out like you think, it's just kind of still you're a little surprised. But absolutely great job. Both teams have elite defense levels, in my opinion anyway, when you're looking at scores like this. Elite level defenses, and they did enough on offense. Colorado did to win, but Georgia, man, honestly, Colorado is such a strong offense. I'm telling you, Jack Hanna and Will Malcolm that's going to be a duo for a long time to come. So let's get right into the interview now. So today's guest is Josh Mills. First off, it was shout out to Lax Tilly for making a connection between us two. Lax Tilly is an amazing person, to be honest with you, Mr. Derek there. But Josh Mills is this high level player. It's crazy. So he's a Division 1 lacrosse player going to Mercyhurst this year. He's played in the Minto Cup. I mean, just to get there is absolutely a huge achievement. He's just one of those guys that's literally been all over lacrosse, played at different levels, very high touted since he was a young age. And we go into some really good topics. I always like to get their background, all that kind of stuff. So you're going to hear all that in the interview. It's an amazing interview. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. You get a lot of insight into there, and Josh is a great guy. So let's get right into it and check it out. All right, what's going on, everybody? On today we have Josh Mills, an absolute stud of a player. He's played high level box. He's playing D1 field lacrosse now. Just welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Good, man. So why don't we just start by telling me how you got into lacrosse? Was kind of the first time you picked up a stick, all that kind of stuff.
So I started playing when I was, I think, 9 or 10. My uncle played growing up. I grew up with a group in Surrey, BC. Lacrosse wasn't that big, so I just started playing with my uncle in the backyard and playing with my dad in the backyard. And my dad was like, "You want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And I used to play baseball, and I was like, "Let's switch it up. Let's play lacrosse." And I just kind of fell in love with it from there.
Now, did you play box or field first?
I played box first. I was a goalie in hockey as well, so I spent a lot of time focusing on that and not field lacrosse. And then I just said, if I want to keep playing lacrosse, I got to choose one, and lacrosse stole it.
So at what age did you kind of make that decision to go in the lacrosse route?
I think I was 15. Yeah, I played hockey growing up, and then I was 15, and I was like, you know what? Let's just focus on lacrosse.
Is that something that you kind of came up with yourself, or is that something that, like a parent guided you, or even like a coach or something?
It was a little bit between my parents and myself. I mean, it was kind of, we'd practice Wednesday nights for lacrosse, and then I'd have hockey practice the next morning, right? So I kind of just could keep doing that. I was tired. I was still, it's pretty young, so kind of just said, I want to play in the NLL. That's my goal. So I'm just gonna focus on lacrosse. It was hard to step away from hockey for sure, but still, I still enjoy it.
I've seen a little bit of your lacrosse highlights, and I can already tell you're quite a physical threat out there as well. Like, what did in BC, where you're from? What did it look like lacrosse look like there in that community? Is it big there?
Yeah, so it's pretty big. The Warriors, the Vancouver Warriors are a big team with the Ackley's and the Canucks group owning them. They do a lot of community stuff. Like my sister's getting back into lacrosse through the community, through the Warriors, so it's pretty big. And then there's a couple hotbeds in the Lower Mainland, like the New West, the Langley, the Ridge, Maple Ridge, Coquitlam, Burnaby. They're all pretty big hotbeds for lacrosse.
Yeah, I know. I've heard a lot of it out there, especially those New West guys are pretty diehard fans. I watched the Man Cup for the first time this last year, and it was amazing. Did you get to check out any of that stuff?
Yeah, I actually went to game one with a couple of my buddies, so it's a good environment. Yeah, no, the Man Cup's some good lacrosse.
Oh man, it was basically like an all-star game for the NLL. Honestly, is what I found.
I
Okay,
honestly,
so
yeah, it was just crazy.
those teams are stacked. Like I thought the Chiefs are going to go in there and honestly walk them, and I mean, the Salmon Bellies really impressed me in general.
Yeah, no, they came out swinging, that's for sure. And
Did you kind of pick up lacrosse and just naturally be good at it, or is it something you had to really work on?
I don't know. I mean, definitely had to work on it. Like definitely to get where I am. Playing college lacrosse, it's not like an easy thing to do, right? There's only so many scholarships in so many places, and being a lefty, it was hard to come by. So it definitely helped out in my case. And then I just kind of, any chance I got, I was in the backyard shooting, playing pass with my dad, going to the box, just hanging out. And then, being around seeing the senior Burrards, I was a ball boy for them for 5 years. So, hanging out with those guys, I was on the floor pretty much every day of the week.
So, what is a training schedule like leading up to becoming a D1 player, and then also now even? What does your schedule look like for training?
So yeah, I did a travel team that helped me get recruited with Tyler Pace and Pro Caliber Lacrosse. They set us up with like a weight program, and like a strength training, and then some dryland work, and then a 2 practice week, and then we do that for a month and a half, and then head to a tournament. And then now it's just like playing box in the summer every day. It's a workout. It's basically doing everything you need to be in your tip top shape without, I'm going to it's my second year at school, so I kind of know what to expect, and it's kind of just put your head down in the weight room in the fall, and then when the season comes, you can lighten up a bit, but at the same time, it's still the same grind on the field.
And kind of just let me know about how the draft prospect went, or to become a D1 prospect. Like how did that all become? Is it just you playing in specific tournaments with the travel team, and then people approach you, or are you putting like together kind of a catalog of highlights and then presenting them to the teams?
Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of recruiting tournaments. I did a couple of recruiting tournaments in I think it was, right after COVID, and it just wasn't, getting any good looks that I really wanted. So I kind of, graduated high school, took a year off, and just did another travel team with Tyler Pace, and then, made a highlight tape of all, the things I wanted to show, and pretty much just fired off probably 50 emails to different college coaches, just trying to get a response and, find my way on a NCAA roster.
Is that the one that I looked you up on YouTube? Is that like the 2023 highlight? Is that the one that you sent out to people? Or
Yeah, that was
is
the
that
one.
just, yeah. Okay.
That was the last one I sent out.
That's a pretty good highlight reel, man. I get why you got picked up from that one for sure.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Like, do you find it's a big jump to go from kind of playing that, junior A level to the NCAA?
Yes and no. I mean, it definitely feels like a completely different game, right? So it's got its differences, but at the same time, it's still high competition. It's still fast paced. It's still the best kind of ball you can play in each country. So I think it's pretty similar when it comes to that.
Now, I don't know much about college, but I'm actually going to start following it, and I've kind of taken a quick overlook of it, and it's very overwhelming. Like D1, you kind of break that down. Does that like, you obviously play for a division and stuff, but how do you go about winning a national championship? Just kind of break down the whole system.
Yeah, so there's so many different like conferences, kind of like the NHL, how it's got like, the Western, Eastern, whatever. It's kind of similar to that, but there's way more than just, the 4 big ones or whatever. So it kind of goes based on your record. You get seeded, near the end of the year, they rank every team from, I think it's like 1 to 20 or something. And then, you play the top, it's like a bracket. You just bracket down, and then it goes to your conference. You play your conference playoffs, and then, it just goes from there.
Now, is it similar like college football where it's like if you lose 1 or 2 games, you're pretty much, you're not getting to that level? Or is there a little bit more leeway?
It's like, yeah, you lose 2 or 3 games, it's definitely going to be hard, and you're going to be facing a better team in the first round. But yeah, it's pretty similar to college football.
How do you guys how are you guys looking this year? Are you guys looking like you're trying to, obviously everyone's trying to win, but do you think you have a pretty strong shot?
I think we got a good chance at our conference. We're going to be good. We have the experience. We just became a Division 1 team. Last year was our first D1 season. We were Division 2 at Mercy years before, but I think we got a good chance at our conference.
Is this your second year playing or your third year playing there?
My second year. I call it at school.
Second year. Okay, cool. So you guys just jumped into D1. That's a pretty big leap, honestly. Now, obviously, you would have started when they played D1, but do your teammates find a big difference between playing those D2 teams compared to playing the D1 teams?
Yeah, for sure. Like we were a Division 2 powerhouse, so we would roll teams, and it wouldn't really reflect. And then we go on to play in our conference championship for years in a row. And then, going to D1, it's just like instead of just there being those one or two guys on the certain teams, it's the whole teams, those one or two guys that make a difference. So it's definitely kind of an eye opener for us for sure.
And for junior A, like, do you prefer box or field? Do you have a preference?
I love box lacrosse.
Okay.
That's my game. I love it.
Yeah, I find with Canadians especially, it's very, very more popular. And I mean, I love it. I always call it, it's like control chaos. I always call it, and then field is like more of a gentleman's game. So I always like that one. But what's your biggest takeaways from playing junior A?
I think my biggest takeaways from junior A would probably be the physicality that it takes. Because I played in both leagues. I played in BC and I played in Toronto this summer. The difference, definitely, you could definitely see it. Playing in it's definitely an eye opener. But the physicality and just like the precision you need when it's like either shooting on a goalie or making a pass inside to a guy. It's like you got to kind of read the play before it's happening. Put you or your teammate in a bad spot.
I find when just from the little bit I have watched the field, I find that you can almost use your athleticism to kind of move around and like avoid contact. In box, it's everything's so tight that it seems like it's almost sometimes unavoidable the contact in box.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, and like I utilize that to my game. I like the contact, right? Like if you're on my hands, I want you on my hands because I'm gonna use that to my advantage. But in field, it's definitely like if you're the fast guy, use your speed, beat a guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So can you walk me through kind of how you went from playing in like the BC League to the OJLL? Just kind of how that transpired and stuff like that. Is that something they come to you with and ask you if you're interested in doing, or is that just like, hey, we're trading your rights, you got to go?
It's usually something that they ask you to do. So in 2024, I was on the Poco Saints and we played in the Minto Cup in here in Coquitlam. So we kind of went all in for it and used up all of our funds and our draft picks to get there. We made a push. We finished third. Not the outcome we all wanted, but it definitely was an experience that I'll hold for the rest of my life. And I know, going to my last year junior, it's something that I definitely want to win. And I couldn't think of a better group of guys to play with than Poco. But yeah, and then this summer, we weren't the top of the barrel team. So I think there's 6 guys that ended up getting shipped off from Poco. And they were like, "Hey, we wanna give you your best shot to win. It's your second to last year. Like, how would you feel about going out east?" And I'm like, "Oh, it'd be pretty cool." And then the Beaches, they just reached out, and it was kind of that's it.
Toronto Beaches are such a like a historic team. They've had such big names playing there. What was it like playing for them?
It was awesome. I lived in a house with 8 other guys, so it's kind of like living in a dorm almost at school. It was pretty similar, but no, it was a great experience. Great group of guys, great coaching staff. I'll definitely hold that in my heart and in a memory for a long time.
Are you planning to go back there this summer? Or are you coming back? Are you coming back out west for this summer box?
My rights go back to Poco.
Okay, cool. Okay. So how do you find that going from playing box to field? Because one of the things that I've heard people say has been, box players always seem to like you can translate those skills right to field, but field it doesn't kind of work out the same. Do you find that's true, or is that just kind of not true anymore?
I think in certain, like shooting, like look at a guy like, Kirst for the Rock, right? Like he's a phenomenal field player and he just still does his thing in the box. He still shoots the same shot. He still makes it work, right? So definitely like shooting and your passing and your IQ, but then it's just, the physicality. If as soon as it takes over, it just controls it.
Well, even when I was looking at the draft this last year, I think it was maybe the second round, fourth overall pick or something. That was the first guy that went with absolutely zero box experience. So obviously these guys are looking at that as a big thing. So do you think having both is the better advantage rather than just trying to focus just on box?
For sure. I think, playing both, it kind of gives you the chance to expand your game almost and you utilize your offhand. Like not very often you see you guys switch hands in box lacrosse, but in field lacrosse it's happening every possession. Every time the ball's passed, you're usually switching hands and making a move. So it definitely just expands your game and expands your skill set.
Yeah, and I find even the guys that play both when they play the tournaments for sixes, it's almost like it's a hybrid between both of them. So they play well. Like I always think of Jeff Teat, right? Because he plays at such a high level on both. Have you tried any sixes? Like what are your thoughts on sixes?
Yeah, I played in they have a tournament out here usually in mid-September. It's called BC Sixes. I played in it for 2 years. It's fun. It's really just box across on a field, shooting on a field net. So it's not like a super serious tournament. Like you get a group of buddies and you guys make a team and be like, "Hey, let's try and win this thing. Why not?" And you just kind of go out there and play. But yeah, no, it's fun. I like sixes. I'll definitely play more of it. We play some of it at school sometimes. Yeah, no, it's fun.
Well, yeah, it's going to be the Olympic thing, so I know they're going to push it and push and push. And I find that they haven't a lot of tournaments that I've watched, they haven't been because technically there's no hitting in sixes, correct? And they definitely with some pushing and shoving going on and stuff like that, some contact. Do you find the rules are still like playing 2 seasons or 2 tournaments in a row? Do you find the rules they're still kind of tweaking them, or they're still trying to figure out how to ref it properly?
I think they're just trying to find that happy medium where it's like, you're not going out there and blowing somebody up like it's box across when he's cutting through the middle and you're not hitting him at all like if he doesn't have the ball right. So I think once they nail it down, it'll be good. But they definitely they're definitely figuring it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I like it personally, but I do think they need a couple tweaks in there, like a little bit more contact, slow it down after a goal, and just be able to commercialize it a little bit more is the big thing.
For sure.
So let's talk about your Minto Cup experience. Obviously, it wasn't the the result you wanted, but I mean, just to play in that tournament is so iconic. I watched it this year for the first time, and it was a special tournament, and also just the talent in there is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like the Minto Cup's the hardest thing to win, right? You get 5 years at it. That's if you play 5 years junior A, right? So it's definitely one of the hardest trophies to win. It was definitely a great experience, being so close to home. I was able to have family there, right? So it was awesome, having my family in the crowd, playing for a Minto Cup pretty close to home. And yeah, I mean, it's something that I'll never forget. I think about it every day, right? Like I wish I won one, and I got one more year, so hopefully I get one now.
And I'm hoping for you. So, do you find it's like what's the intensity like compared to like a regular junior A game?
I feel like the whistles definitely went away a little bit in Minto Cup. They're definitely gonna let more go. A combination of referees from Alberta and Ontario flying out, and they're all refing with BC refs. So it's definitely like my line's here, but the other refs is here. So it's kind of give or take. I definitely noticed the whistles went away a bit, and it was just like every possession counted, whether you're on defense, offense, face off, everything. You need the ball. We need the ball. It was always like, okay, we don't get it this shift. Next shift, we got to go. We got to go. We got to go. There was no time to just sit back and let the game go on.
Do you find do you feel pressure because you played at such a high level for so long now? Do you find you still feel pressure in these big games, or is it just more of like you're just going out there and you're going to perform well, basically?
Yeah, I definitely still feel pressure, but at the same time, I kind of just think, hey, you've played a moment like this before. Like it's the same thing. It's the same thing, right? You've played something harder than this, and I make jokes with my dad all the time. Like pressure's a privilege, right? Not everyone gets to feel this pressure. So, use it. Use it. Like use this pressure to make yourself better. Use it to score the next goal. Use it to, take a hit to make a play for your team, right? Like at the end of the day, it's something that you got to use to your advantage.
I was listening to the Lacrosse Classified this week actually, and he had a sports psychologist on, and he was saying that top level players, when you start to feel sweaty or nervous, a lot of guys take that as like anxious, and top level guys will actually take that as like excitement. So it's kind of a frame of mind. So that was kind of interesting to me. But okay, so like, is there any adjustments you make going into the Minto Cup, like as a team or even as an individual player, or is it kind of just go in as status quo? You guys have obviously made it to that point, and just try to go do what you're good at.
I mean, when we were going into the Minto Cup, we were grinding, right? Like we took no days off. We wanted it. We had a good group. I think it was just yeah. I don't know. I mean, we did a lot of film. A lot of film. We do a lot of film usually during the season. But going to Minto Cup, we were watching every ounce of film we could get on this, that, or that. And like, what are they going to do on this play? Every reset on a shot clock, they do this play, right? So we just key into those little things that like, someone just every day watching the game wouldn't notice. Like we got to be able to notice that kind of stuff. So we were really trying to, keen in on those specific things.
And like, how much film are you doing in a week? Like training wise, what is your percentages? If you had to break it up into percentages, what would your training look like? Like actual training, dry land training, film, all that kind of stuff, mental?
Yeah, usually we practice 2 or 3 times a week with 2 games. We're practice like a Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday practice, Friday game, and then sometimes a Saturday game, right? So we'll only get 1 or 2 days off. And then, usually stays practice, a couple of guys will work out before practice, or after practice we'll hit the sauna and the hot tub and the rec center, right? Like we just, take that thing to our advantage. And then usually before practice, there's a 45 minutes to an hour of film. And then we just talk about what we're going to work on in practice. And, we'll revamp or revert back to the films during practice and just be like, all right, how can we make this work?
So is there like, I know with a lot of pro guys, there's like, they kind of have group chats from the coach, and then they'll have like their offensive guys in the group chat, and they'll kind of be sending plays. Is that something that goes on in even D1 or at a junior A level? Or is that something that you have to wait till you get to the pros where you're getting that kind of coaching, I guess?
Yeah, no, for sure. It happens in D1 and junior, actually. We got a good group, a good coaching staff at school. So our offensive coach is always sending stuff out. He's always sending out playbooks and stuff. And then we got like an offensive accountability group. So we hold each other accountable when we're at home, when we're breaking stuff. And then, yeah, even in junior, just a couple of the O guys. We only got 10 O guys on our roster, 12 O guys. So everybody's watching the plays. Everybody's learning everything, right? So we just hold each other accountable and be like, yeah, hey, we're sending this in. Just watch it. It'll take 10 minutes out of your day. Just watch it.
No, that's awesome, man. Are you big on like watching the pros, like the NLL and stuff as well?
Yeah, that's the top lacrosse you can get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty awesome.
Is there, when you watch the NLL as such a high caliber player, are you watching, obviously you're watching for enjoyment as well, but are you watching any specific players, like what they're doing without the ball, what they're doing with the ball, kind of what's going on in general?
Yeah, I know. When I think of like watching a game, I'm watching it like, oh, I know what play they're running here. I've ran that play. It's a common play, right? So, but like guys watching, like I like watching Jesse King. I like his game. He's really offensively minded, but also isn't afraid to go back for a shift of defense, right? Like he'll step in and do whatever the team really needs. He's a good team first guy. And then watching guys like Chase Fraser do the crazy stuff he does, it's stuff like, oh, I want to do something like that. Like that's cool. It's awesome.
Yeah, that ripper last week where the ball went right through the net was a pretty hard shot. I was just talking about who had the best shot in the league, and I'm like, I got to throw him in there after that shot for sure. So
For sure, yeah, it was a cannon.
He's a different player, man. So is there somebody that you really like try to emulate, or if you had to compare yourself to a professional player, who would you kind of compare yourself to?
Well, I think certain movements I do, maybe like a Mark Matthews kind of thing, where it's like I'm gonna drive my shoulder into you and then bounce out and try and shoot it, or find a guy to pass it off to. Not saying I'm like the same size as him or anything. He's a monster, but yeah, definitely his style of play. I really want to make my game look like that.
Honestly, it's funny you say Mark Matthews because that's actually who I thought of when I was watching your highlights earlier. I was like, this guy looks like a little Mark Matthews, right? Maybe not quite as big, but he's a pretty
No,
big
for
guy
sure.
anyway, right?
He's a big guy.
But yeah, absolutely. So, what kind of made you choose Mercyhurst as your school? Like, was it just kind of are they kind of the ones that reached out to you? Like, I know you said you sent out a bunch of emails. Like, out of 50 emails that you kind of maybe mentioned you sent, how many actually responses did you get with that?
I didn't get too many responses. I think I got like 10, so not a crazy amount, but not any, right? So I had a couple schools interested, and Mercyhurst I went and visited, and I kind of just fell in love with the campus. It's an awesome place. It's a good community. We do a lot of community stuff with festivals and working with kids groups and stuff, and doing coaching stuff on the side. So I kind of just fell in love with the program. And, yeah, like I said earlier, the coaching staff's just awesome, and I just kind of was like, yeah, this is where I want to go.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, 10 schools from 50 emails is actually pretty good, honestly. That's pretty good. That's pretty good numbers in my opinion. So, what was kind of the thing that you found was the hardest adjustment going from like even just a junior A to that D1? Because D1's kind of like, I don't know, you can speak on this a little bit, but I think it's almost like a little bit of a step up, right? Like because you're playing older players and stuff. Or do you find that? Or
I mean, yes and no. Like, playing junior as a first year, I got in a few games junior A my first year, and going up against guys who are 21 years old was like, I'm only 16. I'm like, holy, these are grown men, right? And
yeah.
then going to school, I took a year off, so I was a year older than a bunch of the guys in my class. So I had an idea of what it was going to be like, and I kind of just tried to be like, all right, I know I can find my matchups here. I don't need to go against the strongest, oldest guy, right? Like I can find, a guy who's more suited to like my age, my style, and who knows, you know, what to do.
Do you find now that you kind of gone because you played at 16 playing against 21-year-olds, obviously the size difference is huge, right? So now that you find, you're a pretty big guy now, do you find that your style has changed, or do you find that just helped you, elevate your game that much more?
I think now I can, use my size compared to when I was 16 to my advantage. Going up against the younger teams, it's like, all right, like I can let you lean in, I can lean into you a little bit more than I would against the guy my same age as me, same size as me. Right? Like I can use those little things to my advantage, and then yeah, I mean, there's definitely its perks.
So, like, your goal, I know you already kind of mentioned this, but your goal is to play in the NLL eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
So, when do you think you're going to take? Like, are you looking to stay at school for the full 4 years, get your education, and then go off, or are you going to try to? Are you thinking more like just when you're able to go play, go get drafted kind of deal?
I think I'm going to stay all 4 years. I like our
Yeah.
team. I like a group of guys. I want to get my education, and then hopefully get a job out of it. Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna play my all 4 years of college lacrosse. It's a crazy experience.
I love that, man. And like personally, I think like everyone talks about the pros as making it, and I think it's great. You're gonna try to go pro, and I hope you make it. It's just that there's so many guys that don't make it, and at least if they have that education, you got that at least partially paid for. Like living on campus and stuff. Is there anything that you've noticed that you've had to adjust, or like probably even just cooking for yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different. I've never really had like a roommate I share a room with, but my roommate at school, he's a good guy. We bought a dog together, so it's pretty funny.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely cooking for yourself is it's fun. It's annoying when you gotta go shopping every other day because you're always cooking all 3 meals. But we have good cafeteria food. But yeah, no, we got a good group of guys. There's 4 of us in our room, so one of us will cook one meal, and then we'll kind of just alternate who does the dishes. And yeah,
Right on. Do they room you just with like regular students, or are you roomed with all lacrosse guys as well?
yeah, I'm room with all lacrosse guys. Usually we just find our kind of group and be like, all right, let's stick together for the next 4 years. Let's do it.
So for younger players, what would you suggest that they be looking into? Like kind of when do you decide to go from just playing casual to focus really? Like I know you mentioned 15, and I know every guy's a little bit different, but when would you recommend a player really focus down first off of when to try to go to that next level, but also, whether to focus maybe on being that top level scorer or maybe just playing defense, because there's obviously that's a whole another skill set almost.
Yeah, I definitely think before your last 2 years of minor lacrosse, before you go to juniors, when you got to make that jump, because there's probably so many junior A roster spots that you're gonna fill out junior B, and you can play junior B your first year. That's fine. I played a couple games my first year, right? I think it's just yeah, I mean, right as you're coming out of minor lacrosse, you got to kind of make that decision if you're gonna try and make this next jump, or just kind of be the stay at home guy and either be a goal scorer or like a stay at home D guy.
Kind of break down, what skills would you tell, let's say a 13-year-old kid to try to start working towards that goal?
Oh, definitely, being in the weight room. Not like for a 13-year-old, but like once you're, 15, 16, definitely being in the weight room. I feel like I could have done a lot more of that, when I was younger. Footwork, and just keep shooting the ball. Shoot the ball, right? If you can shoot the ball on the run and use both hands, good. You'll be pretty set, and you'll get a lot of good looks.
What are you hoping for this year? Obviously, you're hoping for a Minto Cup, hoping for a D1 championship. Kind of what are your personal goals for a year? Like, do you go into a season being like, I want to get X amount of goals, X amount of points, even if you're not going to say what they are? Do you have that in the back of your head?
I mean, yes and no. Like at the end of the team, at the end of the day, I just I want my team to win. I want to be a winner. I want to be able to, you know, go in there and be like every game, be like, yeah, I gave it my all. I did everything I could, and I want to win at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great answer, man. Team wins are obviously super important, but it doesn't happen without individual players. So you all make it happen together. Can you give me just some kind of like, is there any coaches that really made a big difference coming up when you were coming up that kind of gave you that extra edge, or kind of something they did that really stood out to you and you still sticks in your mind?
Yeah, definitely. I think honestly, I think back to my dad. Him. He'll let me know if I played like garbage. He definitely be car ride home. He's like, yeah, you played awful tonight, or he would say it like that, but he definitely let me know that there's something I could have done better. And then I think when I got to junior, Travis Cornwall and Jeff Cornwall and Ian Patterson definitely all helped me, and Kevin Shoemaker, get him in there. They definitely helped me grow my game and expand it to different things and learning different plays. And they definitely showed me some pretty cool tricks to learn and use when you're playing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like, do you find what did you kind of take? What's the biggest thing you took from playing in the OJLL that you're going to take back at West this year?
Playing with a guy like Liam Aston across the floor from me, and same side like Willem Firth. They're legit players, man. They know what it takes to win, and they definitely showed me a few tricks. Whether it's like swinging the ball. Like, in the OJ, the ball is always moving, right? Like I feel like even in BC sometimes on any team the ball gets stuck on one side. I think if we keep moving the ball, we could have a lot of success like we did in the OJ.
Where do you think out West? Where do you think the kind of like what teams do you find that you have the hardest time playing out West? Because I've talked to a couple of new West guys. They always say like the island is a hard. Anytime they go to the island, it's really hard. So what do you find?
Definitely, yeah, definitely the island. And I think Coquitlam's just a hotbed, right? They always got kids coming up through their program. So as people say, they've been running the same place since they were in Pee Wee and Bantam, right? So definitely Coquitlam and the island are some pretty tough competitions, and get those new West guys in there too.
Now with the NCAA, do you find that like are they bringing in more Canadian guys? Like is this somewhere they're really looking to scout, or do you find that it's still an overlooked market for the NCAA?
I think it's slowly growing. Like I know, like Mercyhurst last year we had, I think there was 5 of us, and then this year we got 12 Canadians now. So we definitely took a leap, which was good. But I think it's slowly growing more NCAA schools getting Canadians.
Are there any guys that have been drafted out of your school recently? Like, is it something that regularly happens, or is it something that you're going to be pioneering a little bit?
Yeah, actually, we had an attackman graduate last year. He's our graduate assistant now. He got drafted by Georgia, and I think it was the first round. Jeremy Phoenix Lefebvre. He's a legit player. Yeah, played for Cobourg in Ontario, senior, and yeah, he's a legit player, man.
So, what do you find about playing with these like such high level players? What's the biggest thing you kind of take from them?
There's just so many ways to play the game. There's so many ways that guys can shoot the ball in ridiculous situations. A down the alley, no angle jump shot. Like, that's something I can't do, but at the same time, they can't throw a twister or a behind the back pass cross field and have it be right on, right? There's so many things that you can you got to give a little to take a little. And I think that, definitely just the different styles of the game.
Fine. Like, I mean, this happens in all sports, but it's like every so often it seems like the guys take another level. And even the stuff that's coming out of these young kids now coming up is just amazing. So do you find that like the offenses are getting more creative, and does it make it harder to play against, or even, kind of play for even?
I think, it all comes back to, your coaching, right? The Cornwalls and Poco, they're strict on, learn the plays, you got to know the plays. So it's definitely the coaching, but just there's a lot of skill coming out. Like there's a couple new West kids that are coming out. Just to name one, like Charlie Malcolm, he's a legit player. He's still young, but he's gonna have a long box lacrosse career and field lacrosse career. And there's kids in Poco, like the Emmett Walls, I don't know, man. There's so many kids that are coming up that just have this kind of skill, and it's like, whoa, I couldn't even imagine having that kind of skill when I was your age.
Yeah, man. I actually had Charlie on the show already, and he's a little stud. He's super humble. He's very humble, just like his cousins are, right? Like Will, especially, he's very similar to him. Is like just team first guy and just has a massive talent. Okay, so let's talk the NLL a little bit. Like, so that's where you want to get. Is that something that you want to just play in the NLL, or are you looking to play like? Do you want to eventually play in the Senior A, or are you looking more like NLL, PLL, or what? What's kind of where are you looking at yourself?
I definitely want to play in the NLL and probably some Senior A. I played a Senior A game with Langley this summer, and it was a pretty cool experience as a call up. But yeah, I definitely want to go to the NLL Senior A route. Not that I don't like the PLL; it's just boxes my game.
Yeah. So Senior A, it's interesting. So this is kind of the one. Like I find for the NLL to become the peak, or the biggest league in the space, which it kind of already is. I personally think the MSL and the WLA have to become feeder leagues. What's your opinion on that? Because I know that's kind of a hot topic, and I get a lot of pushback, especially when I talk to West Coast guys about this. Especially around that new West area. With you coming from such a hotbed lacrosse community out West, what's your opinion on that?
I think playing it definitely could be a feeder league to the PLL. But I mean, it's hard because it's only one or the other. You can't play both, right? So yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. It could be a feeder, but yeah, I don't
Not the
know.
PLL, the NLL. So like
The
the
NLL?
WLA
Oh
would be
yeah,
a
for sure,
yeah.
for sure. Right? Like I got one more year of junior and still have 2 more years of school, so I'll get 2 years of senior under my belt before I go into the NLL draft, right? So hopefully that'll help, and then I think a lot of other guys, playing senior definitely is going to help your stock in the NLL because there's always coaches watching, right? There's always those one or two guys on the team that know people, right? So it's definitely a feeder league.
Oh yeah, senior A's. It's pretty much a bunch of NLL guys, that from what I've seen anyway. And there's also some other younger guys and stuff, but it's very, very highly competitive. I can't wait to watch it this summer. Where are you hoping to play senior A? Is there anywhere specifically, or is it just kind of, take the opportunities as they come?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the opportunity wherever it presents itself. But it'd be nice to play in my hometown. Just down the street in Maple Ridge. It'd be pretty cool to play there. They got a good team, so it'd be nice to play there. But like I said, I'll take anywhere.
Do you find, like, obviously playing at home is ideal just because you're close to everybody, but do you find playing at home is like is that much more special? Do you find it kind of gives you, that extra when you get out on the field?
Yeah, I mean, definitely playing. Being at school and playing there, it's definitely different. Not seeing my parents in the stands, for example, or something, right? But as soon as you come home, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot what this is about. Like you got your family in the stands, your friends, you're playing with, your best buddies. So it's definitely better playing at home.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like the NLL wise, like, is that the same thing? Like, again, you're obviously going to take, wherever you kind of get put is where you go. But is it kind of trying to, like, ideally you like to play for Vancouver because you stay close to home?
Honestly, I just want to play, and I want to go out every weekend and play. It doesn't really matter where I go.
Now, the NLL, I know a lot of guys live out of market, and I personally see this league, if I think it's moving to the right direction, and I also think that I would like to see everybody live in market. How do you feel about that? Do you think is that somewhere that you see the league going, where players more live in market so they can get together more and practice more together?
I think if more players, lived in market, it could definitely help grow the game. At the same time, a lot of players got families and jobs, second jobs that they're working, right? So it's hard to just give that all up and go live, somewhere for what could be 1 year to your whole career, right? So it's definitely an interesting thing, but I think it would help definitely grow the game if more guys lived in market.
Well, especially with like the schedule, sometimes you don't play for 2 weeks, right? So obviously, like, to live there, I get it. I'm talking more once this becomes full time because I think we are going to move towards that. Now, what do you think has to happen for this to become full time? Like, obviously, we're talking money, but what do you think the number is? And, like, if you're not comfortable answering this, is fine. But is it like $100,000? Like, I'm talking average player. I'm not talking top level players because obviously the top level guys are already kind of making this. But like, are we talking like 100 grand, 150, 200 before guys can say, okay, I'm putting everything down. Like, I'm putting the toolbox down. I'm going to go play lacrosse full time and focus solely on the NLL.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say probably close to 100, if not high
Yeah.
90s, mid 90s for sure, right? Just like any, full-time job, it's got to be able to support yourself, your family, and everything you really need.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, in Canada, you know how expensive is it up here, right? So,
Oh yeah.
but for sure, I always wonder because everyone talks about full time, and I think right now they're making around like the lower end players, entry level players, is around 52,000 or something, if I'm not mistaken, by the last CBA. So obviously that has to come up, but we are kind of inching towards that, I think. So hopefully we can get there sooner than later for you guys because that's my big thing. I'm hoping that we can get to a full time league here.
For sure. And it just comes down to just keep growing the game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, what's in your opinion? You've been around the sport a long time. What has the NLL, first off, what have they done well, especially recently with Brett Food? I'm a big fan of Brett Food myself. But what do you think they could do a little bit differently and to propel this game?
Well, I think they've done a really good job, with NLL Plus and their deals with TSN is getting the games broadcasted. Like I think that's a really big thing that's going to help again grow the game. I think like more teams would be awesome, but more teams comes with some games could be a blowout. Like you'd have one really good team and the rest of the teams be not as decent. But more teams, more games, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely on board for more games. I know we're talking about moving towards 30. And that's that's a really good follow-up question too. Is like, what do you think what's the perfect amount of games guys should be playing in the season? Obviously, you can just speak for yourself, but from an NLL schedule point of view, what do you think the number is that's a good amount of games, but not too much?
I think like high 20s, 30, definitely for sure would be a good amount.
Yeah, I think they're trying to aim at 30 right now. I would personally like to see like 36, 2 a week, 18 weeks. You have 21 weeks in a season, 18 weeks playing. That's kind of what I kind of would like to see eventually. Obviously, again, money has to go up with that and everything. But do you think that's reasonable, or am I way? Because I'm just a fan, right? So do you think I'm way off and that I'm just expecting too much?
I think it also depends on like summer ball season, right? There's still some guys in the NLL that are still playing junior and playing senior, right? So it depends on when those leagues start, great, because you don't want to be missing those games. You're at a WLA game, for example, watching two NLL games on the side, right? I feel like it has to all line up with each other. But yeah, definitely want to see some more games.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm more talking like I said, I believe those leagues should be feeders. So I'm hoping that's where we're moving to, but I know that's a touchy subject. So we'll see what happens. But I'm just glad from the numbers I've seen, I do notice that especially since COVID's kind of ended, the numbers have exploded for what is out there available into public information. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
For sure.
Now, I find in this league, there's not a lot of players who are really into social media. And I think it kind of, it hinders the growth of the sport. There are a few, like Brett Dobson gets on Twitter a lot. Tyler Hammer Jackson's one that always comes to mind. I've seen him on, I follow him on TikTok. Do you think with these like guys your age and even younger, do you think they're more into social media, or do you think that it's kind of a way that players separate their lives from being like private and then game?
I definitely think it's a way that players definitely separate their lives. Like the PLL does a really good job with their social media, right? And you see like a lot of sponsored athletes are always on social media, posting about their equipment and, playing the games and stuff. But I definitely think it's something that like players, they want that little bit of privacy, but then can go out on the weekend and be like, hey, I'm going to go play this game. Hey, I know who you are.
Okay, so let's talk about the NLL for a minute. What do you like? How much do you watch the NLL, and do you have anybody that you're really watching this season that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I watch as many games as I can. I'm trying to get my roommates at school. I live with 3 American guys, so they don't watch too much box lacrosse, but I'm trying to get them hooked on it. So we watched a couple games before we came back for a winter break. I definitely watch in Vancouver. My cousin is the defense coach, Rob Williams. He's the defensive coach for the Warriors. Definitely supporting him. And then just kind of focus on the Vancouver Warriors. How could you not watch the Bandits? They're one of the best teams.
I mean, I know there's a lot of hate towards the Bandits because they're 3P champions and everyone's sick of it. I personally, as a neutral fan, I love watching just good lacrosse, so I love watching them. Vancouver, to me, has the best overall team this year. Delbs being on the back end really helps your guy there in doing the defense. I'll tell you that. So he's just such a stud goalie. But even the Vancouver defense is good, like good overall. Do you find like they looked pretty good last year? Obviously, do you find that bringing these players in have really made a big jump for that franchise?
I think it did for sure. I think it gave them confidence. All right, like it's obvious now we want to win. Let's go for it, right? So it kind of just gave maybe some of the guys who weren't really sure that extra boost, being like, yeah, we're doing this. Like we're all bought in. Let's go.
So are you on the train that they're gonna take it all this year, Vancouver?
I hope so.
Yeah, I think they have a really good shot at it. I think they're a really strong team, man. What are some players, like if you had to pick somebody to kind of win the MVP this year, or just kind of an outstanding player that you like to watch?
Well, an easy MVP for, if I'm talking Vancouver, could be, Keegan Ball. He plays his role really well. He's always looking to feed, always looking to shoot. He's always a threat when he's on the floor. And then, how could you not go, Christian Del Bianco? He's the best goalie in the world.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people have those guys number one. I mean, it's just they're so good and they're so talented, and it seems like they've kind of started to get going. That week one, that was a little bit, they didn't get their scoring going, but after that, it's been good, and I think they've found their game. So, what about so obviously goalie of the year would be Delbs. Do you think Delbs has a good chance of winning goalie of the year and MVP? I think he's done it before, if I'm not mistaken. You think he's going to do it again?
I think there's a solid chance if he keeps that playing pretty well like this, and Vancouver ends up going deep again. I think they got a pretty good shot.
Do you find a lot of your teammates I know you just mentioned that they're not really into box, but do you find that's just in general for field guys in the States, or is box just kind of like, I always find it's like this little niche sport that nobody really talks about in the States. Do you find that, or?
Yeah, it's definitely not as big as it is in Canada as in the States. Like one of my buddies, he played it one tournament and just didn't like it, but now he loves watching it with me, right? So it's definitely something that needs to grow there to continue growing the sport overall. But yeah,
I think California's doing a pretty good job down there, honestly, growing box lacrosse. It seems like it's growing there. San Diego looks like their crowds are coming out. Do you find it's just an exposure issue, or do you guys, like, I know you said your one buddy played in one tournament, didn't like it, but do you find for the majority of people, do you find it's just an exposure issue, like they don't even really know about box? Because that's what I find a lot, to be honest with you. Or do you find it's more just that they just kind of, they're stuck on field and that's what they grew up on, so that's kind of how they look at lacrosse?
I think it's kind of how, what they grew up on. Like they grew up playing field lacrosse, they're going to play field lacrosse their whole life, and it's hard to convert someone over to play box lacrosse because it's the same game, but it's a different game at the same time.
Absolutely, man, for sure. I always find those goalies are crazy in field because you got no protection on at all, so, or very low.
It's crazy.
So, okay, man. So, okay, so I just got one more question for you. If lacrosse didn't exist, what would you be doing? What would you think?
Hopefully still going to school somewhere, doing something, or working construction with my old man.
What are you going to school for? Or is there something that you want to do career-wise?
Yeah, I'm studying criminal justice, so I want to be a police officer.
Okay, cool, man. Awesome. Well, that's good. I know I think a lot of the league's firefighters, it seems like a lot, and tradesmen. I think there is a few police officers in there as well. The schedules kind of work out that way, so that's awesome. Well, anyway, man, I really appreciate you being here. I'm excited to watch you this year. I'll definitely be watching you in your school for sure. So keep an eye out for the videos. I'll try not to roast you guys too much.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
All right, big shout out to Josh Mills for coming on. That was awesome. I love when guys, I like interviewing these younger guys that are up and coming. It was really nice for Josh to come on the podcast. Definitely probably the highest level player I've had on. Please, Charlie's there. He's just younger. Don't get me wrong. Shout out to Charlie. I love you, Charlie, Mr. Malcolm. But Josh he's already playing D1. He's basically, if you go look at his highlights, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This kid is a stud out there. 6'3", built, uses his size, fast. like his shots are accurate. Like the kid's just amazing. So he got traded to, like you heard in the interview, he got traded over to the Beaches, and what a I think he put up 57 points in 19 games or something crazy. So the kid's just on a whole nother level of lacrosse. Such a humble guy too, such a nice guy, and he's off the field. I'm sure on the field is a little bit of a different a little bit of a different situation, but he's just a great guy, honestly, overall. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. If anybody knows any other players that want to come on, shoot me a message. My DMs are open on all platforms. I try to keep up on them, and even tag me in a post if you want. I'm pretty open. I love having different people on. Also, as I always say, I'm looking at trying to get different people on. It's not just all players. Like I'd love to get a parent on. I'm still like a high level, like a parent of a pro, a parent of like a D1 college player, parent of like a guy, even a junior A player, like anybody like that. I just think that hearing that perspective would be cool. So I'm always looking for different perspective. Jumbo had sports psychologist on. I really like that. I would love to have somebody like that on as well. Anybody that's a little bit different, I think it's cool to interview a bunch of different people. I don't think that sticking to just players is my niche, man. Like there's lots of people doing that, and it's just something different. So I love interviewing players, obviously, but I'm definitely open to interviewing anybody who has anything to do with lacrosse, announcers, camera guys, anything that you can give your perspective. Because that's the thing. Everybody has their own little perspective on lacrosse, and there's always somebody else looking to kind of get into that role as well, right? So there's always somebody looking into like becoming how do you be like an NLL cameraman? Like, let's get him on here. How the heck do I get? How do you even get a job like that? That's the stuff that I really like. So anyway, that's kind of the things. But again, thanks Josh for coming on. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Lax Hilly, for making that connection again, buddy. And love you guys. And you were both fantastic guests. So I've been really lucky with my guests here, guys. Let's get right into going through each game. So we'll just run through each game. So we'll start with Saskatchewan versus Vegas. Beat Vegas 21-16. Huge night for both teams. The fact that Vegas put up 15 on Frankie's pretty impressive. Or on Saskatchewan, sorry. The fact that Saskatchewan put up 21 is crazy. Vegas let up 21 last year. I think it was on Rochester, if I'm not mistaken. So this isn't something that's new to them. It is new to some of their players, I'll tell you that. I bet you a lot of those guys have never played a game where they've had 21 scored against them. 21 to get 21 scored against you, I'm going to say it's next to impossible to try to beat that. And you got to do something about the back end when you're letting 21 goals. And I don't care I know it's Saskatchewan, don't get me wrong. Saskatchewan is almost at the point where they're in a league of their own a little bit. You have to figure out how to play against that because that's crazy. So you got Ryan Keenan with 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points, and 2 power play points, and 13 loose balls. You have Robert Church with 3 goals and 7 assists, 10 points. Just a couple. And then you have Zach Mann, 9 points for 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points for Zach Mann. Robert Church also had 9 loose balls. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. Austin Shanks with 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points, 2 loose balls. You got, wow, Brock Haley. You know who I was listening to Loose Match? Loose Match Dawson was calling out Brock Haley a little bit. It's like more of as a joke because it's Tolley's, Steve Toll's son-in-law, I think I heard it. So he was like, oh, Haley's got to get going. 2 goals, 4 assists. Is that good enough for you, Dawson? I think that's a pretty good night. I think you calling him out might have lit a fire under his ass a little bit. Got Josh Sawato, which was good too. A goal and 3 assists. Huge. You got Mike Messenger with 10 loose balls. So that's, you know how much I love the loose balls. Same as Jake Nasso with 14, but I know he's a face-off guy, so that's a little bit of a difference. You've got, on the other side of things, you had Mitch Jones with 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists. So another big night for Mitch Jones. Chase Frazier, 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. Donville with a goal and 6 assists for 7 points. Chris Klutz, 3 goals, 2 assists. So a nice hattie for him. Kyle Killen, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. Adam Poitras, two goals, and Sheldon Burns, 2 assists. Couple more goals. Brandon Goodwin got a goal. Nick Preston got a goal. So not bad. Got nice 9 loose balls out of Connor Kurse. Not pretty good that way. John LaFontaine, same thing, 8 loose balls out of theirs. Honestly, both some standouts on here. Well, you had, all right, here we go. We're going to talk about it. Okay, we're going to talk about goaltending first. So you have Frankie, got 15 goals against. You got 48 saves, though, and 48 shots, 33 saves. So, kind of a rough night for Frankie a little bit, too. Had a 68 save percentage. You had Landon Kells playing the first 44 minutes, 45 shots, 32 goals. Lenny Kells, you having played a total of 44, just a little over 44 minutes. You had 45 shots, 32 saves, and he had a 71 save percentage. So not great. They put Caleb in for a little bit as well. You had him almost playing 16 or a little 15 and a half minutes. 15 shots, 9 saves. So 17 shots, 9 saves, 30 goals against, Caleb Kahn, you had 8 goals against, 17 shots, 9 saves for a 52.9 save percentage. So we talked about this. I'm not a fan of throwing him to the wolves, guys. You're gonna kill his fucking confidence. Like it blows my mind when it's like this. You had Saskatchewan getting 6 in the first, 4 in the second, 8 in the third, and 3 in the fourth. And then you had Las Vegas getting 3 in the third, 3 in the second, or sorry, 3 in the first. Las Vegas getting 3 in the first, 3 in the second, 5 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. And again, we have the same kind of issue. Yes, they get going. They're not. They're always playing from behind. That's what I find Vegas is really bad for. Yeah. Longest drought for Saskatchewan was 10:47. Longest drought for Las Vegas 11:28. And the longest streaks were four goals in a row for Buffalo, or sorry, for Saskatchewan. Las Vegas was 3. Biggest lead. Vegas did leads for a very small amount of time, and the biggest lead Saskatchewan had was 9. So again, they were kind of just trying to play catch up, and it just couldn't. They couldn't get it. So anyway, definitely some penalties in here. Not too many though. Only about 8 penalties, so not too bad. So there you have it, boys. There's the first game all done. Saskatchewan versus Las Vegas. Las Vegas, man, they gotta figure out that back end. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. All right, so second game we're gonna go over is Toronto versus San Diego. Toronto beat San Diego 12-7. And to be honest, I called this. I ended up, just for the record, I ended up going 6-2 this week. The only games I didn't get were I actually thought Las Vegas was going to beat Saskatchewan. Mistake there. I will not bet against Saskatchewan again, probably for the remainder of the season. And then we've got I thought Buffalo would get Rochester. So I did pretty good. 6-2 is not a bad week, and I'm getting to. I think I'm in like the top 15 for who you got. So that's not bad. That's not bad for first full-time year sports guy, sports analyst, I guess. I don't know what a sports media person, I guess. Online sports media person, whatever you want to fucking refer to me as, I'm fine with it, to be honest with you. But really not bad for watching my first season. And I'll do my definitely at the end of the season, I'm gonna do a video with my whole whole totals. So anyway, back to this game. So we had in the first we had 2 for Toronto, 3 in the second, 3 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. And then San Diego had 3 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the third, and 1 in the fourth. So Toronto's defense did a fantastic job at slowing them down. You had Toronto's longest drought with over 15 minutes, 15. San Diego, pretty much the same, 21. So both way too long droughts. Longest streak was 4 goals by Toronto, was 3 by San Diego. Biggest lead was 5 by Toronto and 2 by San Diego. And time with lead was 31 minutes for Toronto and 14 minutes for San Diego. So pretty good. Here we had, again, a bunch of minor penalties. What do we have? 11 penalties, I think I counted. So overall, not bad. Now let's go over the individual stats here. All right, so right away we got CJ Kirst putting up 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 points, 1 shorthanded goal, and 5 loose ball pickups. So he's still even doing his part like off the ball as well, right? So CJ Kirst, it's going to be really hard to not make him Rookie of the Year just because of the dominance that he showed every game. Like every game, there has not been. I don't think CJ Kirst has had 1 game off yet, if I'm not mistaken. Like he's at least put up 2 goals every game. I'm almost positive on that one. Owen Hiltz, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points, 2 loose balls. You know what? For a rookie, absolutely killing it. Like I said, this team is really going to lean on their rookies. How far can they carry them? You got Jalen Rogers, 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Mark Matthews, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Josh Dawick, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. Dan Craig with 3 assists. Sam English, a goal and an assist, 2 points. Huge for Sam English. He's having a big season too. Chris Bushi, a goal and an assist for 2 points. And then, some other guys had a couple assists throughout. Over on the San Diego side, Wesley Berg still had 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Trey Leclaire, 2 goals, an assist for 3 points. Zach Currier, 2 goals. Corey Small, a goal and assist. Trent DeKiko, 2 assists. Pat Cavanaugh with 2 assists. Jake Govett with 2 assists. Danny Logan with assists. Cameron Dunkerley with assists. Also, let's see. Did Trey Leclaire also get 11 loose balls? Wesley Berg, 5 loose balls. You got Danny Logan with 8 loose balls. Trevor Baptiste with 11, but he's obviously a faceoff guy. On top of that, I don't know if there's ever been a time where Trevor Baptiste won every faceoff and still end up losing the game. That's pretty wild to me. Again, this is where it's like, oh, faceoffs don't matter. It goes back to my point, but I understand they do. Don't get me wrong. I've said that enough at this point. But I do definitely think faceoffs matter. It just shows that it's not the only thing that matters. It's a bunch, it's one small part to here. But Trevor Baptiste, if San Diego doesn't make the playoffs, if you could, a team that could be a big X factor heading into a playoff series. Who knows? Who knows about that one? I don't know enough about contracts yet. I'm gonna have to go look this stuff up. But I would love to see Trevor Baptiste go somewhere that he could actually, help them do something. Because San Diego, I know everyone was like, "Oh, you're such a San Diego hater" at the beginning of the season or in preseason, but do you see why now? Does everyone see why? Because they're 1-3, 1-4. I think they might be 1-4 now. They're just not good enough. That's the best way I can put it. But I will say the crowd size has been amazing. Lacrosse in California is growing. They're doing a fantastic job out there. They just need to obviously start winning out there. So we'll see when that happens. They really cool. And overall, honestly, it is what it is. So Nick Rose, 48 shots on goal, 41 saves, 7 goals against, and 0.4 save percentage. So all those Nick Rose haters, I'm talking about Stunna. You. a pretty solid night for Nick Rose, honestly. Definitely having 41 saves is a solid night. Cameron Dunkerley had 45 shots, 33 saves, 12 goals against, and 73.3 save percentage. San Diego's goaltending just isn't good enough, unfortunately. It's, again, when I say goaltending, it's obviously it's a team effort, right? It's not just goaltending. I don't want to just sit here and fucking hate on the goaltending, but at the end of the day, it's not good enough. But I said this at the beginning. This is everything I said. Now, Origieri is injured. He's out. So, I mean, it is what it is. Maybe he would probably do a little bit better of a job. But do I think it would be the difference? No. I still think I think San Diego's the worst team in the league right now. That's my opinion. I would prefer to have Calgary right now, Calgary's roster over them. I prefer to have Philadelphia's roster over them. I like the goaltending in both those better than I do in San Diego. I like, the only big things that San Diego has going for them, in my opinion, is Wesley Berg and Trey Leclerc and Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh's a good little piece too. Don't get me wrong, but those two are the stars of the team. And what I'm learning from watching this season a lot is you need to have more than two guys. You need 4, 5 guys who can score. Look at Saskatchewan. Look at Halifax most nights. That's where you need to be sitting. Rochester, right? They have 5 guys that can score. You need that. San Diego doesn't have that. They don't have the defense. They have the face-offs. That's what they can beat everybody. They have the cream of the crop in the face-offs. I'll give them that. So anyway, let's get right into Vancouver versus Calgary because this was a banger. Let's go, boys. What a game this was. And who would have called this? Everybody's counting Calgary out, okay? Calgary is better, and I will be the first one to say that. I like Calgary. Calgary's roping me in. They're like, I'm cheering for these guys, man. Now, do I think they're going to make playoffs? Probably not. Actually, no. Let's just go with no. But I love the compassion these guys show. I love the closeness they show. Vancouver is the cream of the crop, in my opinion. And the fact that they took them to overtime is huge for Calgary. Just for the moral. After that loss where the coach came out, Calgary has been so much better. And it just goes to show that when a coach wants to get something done, he can be the one that does it, right? So let's start with first off. So Vancouver had 2 in the first, 5 in the second, 3 in the third, and then none in the fourth, but scored the OT winner. Jesse King, I think, scored it. And then you have Calgary with 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 1 in the third, and 4 in the fourth to tie it up to take it to overtime. Huge clutch as well in there. You have, you had 5 power play goals by Vancouver, so that cost them. And then you also had 3 shorthanded goals by them. So that, again, is another big thing that cost them. Longest droughts were over 20 minutes for both this team. So 20:47 for Vancouver, 20:48 for Calgary. So not, you need to be better than that. Longest streak was 5. They both put up 5 is their longest streak. Biggest lead, Calgary did have a little bit of a lead there one time by 1, but 5. Vancouver's biggest lead was 5, and they had that for 40 minutes time with the lead. And over 40 minutes, and then Calgary had their lead for 1:28. So, definitely a difference. Again, penalties, honestly, a bunch of minors, 1 major, legal cross-checking to Reese Callies in the fourth with 7 minutes. Other than that, just a couple really just more minors, back and forth, delay of games, couple legal cross-checkings, couple unsportsmanlike, and then holding a stick. So, and then we'll go into the player stats here. So, we've got Curtis Dixon getting 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points, 3 power play points, and 1 loose ball there. Keegan Ball, 1 goal, 6 assists, still killing it, 7 points. 7 loose balls as well. Jesse King, 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points, 7 loose balls as well. Clowrich had a goal and an assist with 4 loose balls. You got Dilks with a goal. You got Adam Charlambides with a goal and an assist. You got Shane Simpson with a goal. Jeff Cronwell, Ryan Sheridan, Christian Del Bianco. All had assists, so huge for them. Then we go over to the other side of things here. Hayden Dixon had 7 points with 2 goals, 5 assists. Tyler Pace, 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points as well. Hayden Dixon had 5 loose balls, though. Tanner Cook, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points with 7 loose balls. Huge night for him as well. Brandon Maya still showing why he's killing it as well. A goal and 2 assists for 3 points. You have Noah Manning, the little rookie stud, getting 2 assists, 2 big assists there. Lowen got an assist, or a goal, sorry. Leclerc, Matsuka got assists. Matsuka also got 6, or sorry. Anasio got 6 loose balls. That's face off. So Leclerc, 6 loose balls for him. And yeah, so honestly, pretty good night for both of them. Christian had huge. Oh my God, Christian, man. He was a big part of this win. I got news for you, man. Christian is a beast. Held his team in a lot. Calgary could have had a lot more without him. He played, obviously, the whole game. 52 shots, 42 saves, huge. 53 goal against average, and an 80.8 save percentage. So it's still just absolutely killing it. But I will say, we are starting to come back down to a little bit more into this realm. These guys getting 86 save percentage, at the first couple weeks, it's not going to happen. We're going to be in that 80 range, which is good. That's still even considered elite at that level. 78 is kind of where you want to sit. So 78, 79. So Aiden Walsh still had a 79 save percentage. just a little over 10.48 goals against average, 42 saves on 52 shots. So really, honestly, amazing game by Aiden. Aiden's getting better and better and better, and he's gonna come up and show why you know, like he's the real deal. It's his show, it's his team. He's gonna go try to do his best every night, and he's been playing absolutely lights out. Rochester, Rochester versus Philly. Rochester winning 16-13, which was really no surprise. I knew Rochester was gonna have a good game this game. Um, captain there, over from that kind of does stuff with Daily Dive. First off, showed it to him. He would turn 150 into $4,000 this week. So go give him a follow if you're into that stuff. But he went 8 for 8 this week. He called Rochester, having a fantastic weekend. So his first game, and he basically said, I'm gonna have to call the second game by the first game. Rochester had quite a bit of left in the tank after Philly. I will say that. I thought Philly was gonna play a little bit more aggressively against them, but still 16-13. Realistically, Philly's another team that they're gritty. They're gonna get out there and but just to win a little bit long in their scoring droughts and stuff. Anyway, so we had Rochester getting 2 in the first, 6 in the second, 5 in the third, and 3 in the fourth. So this is actually another time I did want to mention that Rochester had to play from behind, which you don't get to see too often. So this was a weekend for me that Rochester basically proved everything that they showed me everything that they could do that I've been saying they haven't been doing. So I'm closing my account at the Rochester Hater Club, and we're definitely hopping on the fan base now. So let's go. Philadelphia, you got 5 in the first, 3 in the second, 3 in the third, and 2 in the fourth for 10 for 16. Obviously, they had that lead at the beginning of the game. They came out hot. Unfortunately, Rochester is just so good. It's hard to keep that pace against them. So Rochester, longest drought was 748. Philadelphia's was 1853. So that's what really killed them. They could just kind of got stagnant there. 5 goals was the longest streak by Rochester. 4 was by Philly. You had 5 is the biggest lead by Rochester, and Philly did have a 4-goal lead. So that was a big enough lead where if they could have just kind of held in there and kept playing, they could have got it. And the time with the lead too was Philly had the lead for 24 minutes, over 24 minutes, and Rochester had the lead for about 17:50. So, for a good chunk of this game, Philadelphia was in control. And unfortunately, it just didn't end like that for them. So obviously they had, not too many penalties really here. I think total seven penalties maybe. And then when we get individual stats, Mr. Connorfield, man. Is he going to win MVP again this year? I think that there's a chance. 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points, 13 loose balls. This kid does everything, man. And I can't argue if somebody said, oh, he's the MVP. Okay. Like I couldn't argue that. There's no way. Dan Lunchberry having a huge season as well. 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points, 7 loose balls as well. McConvey, I love this kid. 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points, 6 loose balls. Brian Smith, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points for 7 loose balls. Kyle Waters with 3 assists. Matt Guillory with 2 goals. Graydon Hogg with a goal and assist. Jeremy Thompson with a goal and assist. Glad to see him get on the board. And 4 loose balls. Sorry. Jake Pacino, 2 assists, 7 loose balls. Zed Williams got on the board with a goal, and Tyler Biles had his assist. You have on the other side of things, you have, oh my God, dude, Philadelphia. They have a young team. Michael Sowers. Now, again, I'm not a Field fan. Never heard of this kid. I can tell you, wow, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. Huge game for this kid. And I think it was his debut. What a debut. Brendan O'Neill, 2 goals, 3 assists. Joey Reds, 2 goals, 2 assists. 6 loose balls as well on him. Blaze Riordan, 1 goal and 1 assist. Phil Caputo, a goal and an assist. Liam Patton and Chris Corbell, 2 assists each. Mitchell Armstrong with a goal. Dustin Burkhoff with a goal. Eric Fennell with a goal. I always like him, man. He always seems to score every time I watch. Patrick Foley gets an assist. Messenger gets an assist as well. 10 loose balls for Alex Pace. I always like to shout at that. That's the unsung stats. You know how I am with that stat. I'm so huge. And then let's get down to the goalies here real quick. And we got, so Riley Hutchcraft started the game, 7 goals against on 20 shots, 13 saves, 65 save percentage. So not great. Hartley came back in, took over, 6 goals against, 32 shots, 26 saves, played for 42 minutes, and he had an 81 save percentage. So you can't ask for anything better than that. Hartley, somebody said it in my comments, Hartley's the best, most athletic goalie in the league, and I have to agree with the athletic part. I could see it. There are a couple other ones that are up there for sure, but Hartley is a really unsung goalie, and I love that kid, man. Ever since that fight, he's won me over personally, and now Rochester's won me over. So I'm sorry I ever hate on you guys. And Hartley, if we can see the consistency out of him, he's going to be a killer. Well, let's just hope we can see some hopefully we can see some games strung together with this, and we'll see. So Nick DeMood, I'm a big Nick DeMood fan. 56 shots, 45 saves, 80 save percentage. Came in just to kind of get him some playing time or whatever. Or wait, I don't even know. Not came in for 20 minutes of the game, 22 shots, 18 saves, and 81.8 save percentage. So both their goalies are just absolutely killer. If one goes down, you have another one there. And it is a problem to have, but it's also a good problem to have. That's definitely that's what I mean. For or for Philly personally, they're not sitting in a playoff spot. Like to get rid of one of their goalies, I don't think would be the end of the world, only because they have such another great goalie, and they could get probably a pretty decent like assets back with it too, right? So all right, so next game we have Halifax versus Ottawa, 13-11. Halifax beat Ottawa in huge game. This was kind of a big game for Ottawa, but also a big game for Halifax. They had lost two in a row, back to back games. To Halifax or to Saskatchewan. So, this was a big game. I couldn't see them losing three. And yeah, so anyway, we got Halifax coming out strong, 3 goals in the first, 0 in the second, 5 in the third, and 5 in the fourth. So really that second half, they put the gas on and got going. Ottawa had 1 in the first, 5 in the second, 1 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. So, third quarter really got Halifax back, but that second quarter, Ottawa really went out there. Now, Ottawa I think they're right there. They really are. They play against these top teams. They've already beat Saskatchewan. They're Saskatchewan's only loss on the season. And Ottawa, I don't think enough people talk about them. I think that they are really good. It's just trying to string wins together. Now, it's going to be a nice win to see. Like, they've played a lot of hard teams already. So they've kind of, they've already played quite a few teams that are really good. So they should, go into these next few weeks, hopefully they can pick up some wins that are, together and string some wins together. So longest drought was 17:55 for Halifax, 17:26 for Ottawa. 5 goals was the longest streak for both teams. 3 goals was the biggest lead for both teams. And then time with the lead, Halifax, that's where they dominated. They had 34 minutes with the time in the league. This game really overall so they had 11 penalties total. Ottawa only took 3 of those, so Halifax definitely leading it. But as we were going to see when we talk about the next game, they are definitely they're a gritty team. They play on the edge, like I talked about, and just kind of their styles. For Ottawa, or sorry, for Halifax, you had Will McLeod stepping in and having like a beast of a night. So we've seen Sowers do it in Philadelphia. McLeod did it over in Halifax. 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points, 4 loose balls. That's amazing as your opening debut. Like, let's go. Clark Peterson, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. You had Cody Jameson with 3 goals. The Hattie. You had Brendan Bomberry with a goal and 2 assists, Jason Knox with 3 assists, Non-Con Thompson with a goal and an assist, Austin Theed and Randy Stotts with 2 assists. So no goals from Randy Stotts this weekend. Tyson Bell with the empty netter. Huge. You had Colton Armstrong with goal. Tyson Bell's becoming the empty net king. Jake Withers with an assist, Brian Terfenko with an assist, Warren Hill with an assist, and 15 loose balls for Graham Hosak. 17 loose balls for Jake Withers. I know he plays off. I know he's a center, he takes the face off. But wow, that's impressive, man. And then you've got on the other side, you've got for Ottawa, you've got Riley O'Connor with 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. Nobody talks about him enough, man. 4 loose balls. Jeff T, 2 goals, 2 assists, 9 points. That's exactly what they did. They held T. Like, I know you can't stop T, but you can slow him down. Robert Hellier, a goal and 3 assists, 6 loose balls. You had Connor Kiernan with 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points, 5 loose balls. You had Jake Stevens with 3 assists and 7 loose balls. Dunbar with 2 goals. You had Larson Sundown, which is honestly probably my favorite player on the team. So I'm not basic. 2 assists. Callum Jones with a goal. Nicholas Volkov with a goal. Kevin Brownell with an assist. Reed Kurtz with an assist. Brent Noseworthy with an assist. Sam Firth with an assist. Huge, guys. Kevin Brunell also had 8 loose balls, so that's huge as well. Absolutely massive. Again, Halifax is, in my opinion, Halifax is a great team when they can keep it composed. I will stand on this hill, even if it's by myself. I will stand on this hill. Halifax is a championship caliber team. I know they're going to drop in a lot of people's power rankings. I just think they've had some tough goes. Back-to-back games are always rough. Usually teams don't do it unless you're Rochester, apparently. But most times, teams, if you look, I know from watching last season, most of the time when a team plays back-to-back, they lose one of those 2 games. So, again, it is what it is. And what are you going to do, right? So hopefully Halifax can bounce back. Again, it would be nice to see them get some wins strung together as well. They've had a little bit of a rough go. They've obviously have 3 out of the last 4 games are losses. Enjoy that. This is it. See ya. That's it for that, guys. I'm telling you right now, Halifax is going to kick it in the next gear. I think they're going to go home, talk about their discipline issues, and go back and play their game. Because I'm telling you, Warren's still been a fantastic piece there. Did I even talk about goalies? I don't think I talked about goalies there. Almost forgot to talk about goalies. We're going to go back and we'll touch base on this actually quick, because I cannot not talk about Warren Hill goaltending that first game. And here it is. And I did forget to talk about goalies. So goalie stats, sorry for this game. I almost forgot. We got Warren Hill, 58 shots, 47 saves for 81 save percentage. Still absolutely killing it. Shout out to all those haters that thought he was washed. Then you got Tyler Carlson, He played a little bit. He got brought in. 7 shots, 3 saves for 42 save percentage. And you got Zach Higgins with 25 shots, 17 saves with a 68 save percentage. So, obviously not the best on Higgins. Higgins has had a little bit of a down year. I thought he was going to be a lot better. I called him my second best goalie in the league preseason, and I mean, again, it's been definitely a high year for goalies, but it's still, I expect a little bit more out of him. To be honest with you, I think he's better than what he's been playing. So anyway, we got Colorado at Georgia. Colorado winning 7-5. This is exactly what everyone thought it was going to be. I know everyone complained about it after. What do you guys expect? This is what these teams are. Both are highly skilled defenses. I think if I had to pick 2 defenses that were the best in the league, I think pure defense, I think these are the 2 teams. So this doesn't surprise me. Okay, so Colorado had a goal in the first, 3 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth, and Georgia had 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 in the fourth. Obviously, Georgia needs to score more. There's nothing to talk about. Longest drought for Georgia Colorado was almost 20 minutes, 1957. Longest drought for Georgia was 16-13. 2 was the longest streak. There was no streak for Georgia because they didn't score anything. They scored 1 goal basically every quarter. Biggest lead was 2 for Colorado, 1 for Georgia. So Georgia did lead for all of 5 minutes and 52 seconds, and Colorado led with 38 minutes, 37 seconds. Definitely a handful of penalties here. Nothing really crazy. Illegal cross-checking 5 minutes for Jeff Henrique, and he got a 2-minute holding as well. Other than that, just a couple other minors. So we'll get right into the each individual. You got Jalen Chaster with 3 assists, 2 loose balls. You got Will Malcolm with a goal and assist, 10 loose balls. So, he's doing that gritty work as well. He's not scared to go get it. He's a team guy first. Jack Hanna with a goal and assist, 8 loose balls. These guys are not easy guys to stop. Hats off to the Georgia defense. Hats off to Brett Dobson for this. You had Dylan McIntosh with a goal, Warren Jeffrey with a goal, Owen Ron with a goal, Ari Stevens with a goal, which is a rookie, Thomas Vela with a goal, and Owen Down with an assist, Robert Hope with an assist, Matthew Pilato with an assist. You had Jordan Gillis with 10 loose balls, absolutely massive. And then on the other side, you had Lyle Thompson with a goal and 2 assists, so a lot better, obviously. But still need more out of him, honestly. 3 points, 5 loose balls. Shane Jackson, 2 goals, 6 loose balls. Jordan McIntosh with a goal and 2 assists, 8 loose balls. Nolan Byrne, which is huge. Nolan Byrne, you know what? He's been fantastic. He's pretty much been a contributor every single game. A goal and an assist for him, and also 3 loose balls. Brian Cole with 2 assists, 4 loose balls. Caleb Benedict with an assist and 4 loose balls. G. Cannell with an assist. But let's go right into the goalies. Dylan Ward. Oh my God. Dylan Ward, man. 44 shots, 39 saves with an 88.6 save percentage. That is massive, man. And then you have Brett Dobson even outshining him with 56 shots, 50 saves, and 89.3 save percentage. So these two, this is funny. This is why, as much as you hate to obviously see this stuff as anybody who loves goals, anybody with that, like if you're Canadian, those are your 2 goalies right there. Those are the 2 goalies that are going to take you to the Olympics and bring home that gold medal. So we are lucky to have these 2, and these 2 are absolutely different level of goalies. Like they're both absolute studs. And that's why if Georgia could just get the offense going, they've got the defense, man. Colorado, same thing. They got to get their offense going a bit more. But when you're going up against the best defense in the league, I can't really get too mad at you. You won the game. That's all that matters. Will Malcolm and Jack Hanna, I can guarantee you one thing. They're going to go out and have an absolute massive night. This is huge without Ryan Lee as well. That's a big loss to them. Andrew Q not being there. The fact that they can still go get these wins is absolutely massive. So keep it up. Colorado and Calgary and Colorado right now. If I had to pick a team right now, those are the 2 teams that I really, really like. Obviously Halifax will always be there and stuff, but those are the 2 teams that I really do end up. I love those teams, man, this year. I don't know what it is. That's the thing. That's what I love about not being a fan of anybody. I can just enjoy watching the game for what it is. So next game, we have Halifax versus Oshawa. 16-9 Oshawa. I called this. I knew this was going to happen. It's just one of those things. Back-to-back weekend, Oshawa needed the win so bad. If you didn't see Oshawa get that win this week, this team was going to be like, something was going to majorly happen. Or they were just going to be like, okay, I guess we're rebuilding this year. But no, I think that if this didn't go the way it did, I think that you would have seen some big noise come out of Oshawa. This kind of calms everybody down. Beating Halifax is no joke. Like I said, I'm still think they're a contender. They need to get more disciplined. And we're going to go through that in this game. Halifax had a goal in the first, a goal in the second, 3 goals in the third, and 4 goals in the fourth. So they definitely got going. That first half was very slow for them. Then Oshawa had 5 goals in the first, 6 goals in the second, 3 goals in the third, and 2 goals in the fourth. They did enough to win. They came out strong. And playing from behind in this sport, it's hard to come back. So Halifax, their longest drought was 17-15, where Oshawa's was 10 minutes and 18 seconds. Longest streak was 7 goals by Oshawa unanswered. You had 3 by Halifax. The biggest lead, Halifax had Halifax had their biggest lead was only 1, and Oshawa's was 11. So obviously, like, they had a big chunk of this with the lead. 51 minutes of the game. There's 60 minutes of the game. 51 of it, over 51 minutes was by Oshawa, but it was held by Oshawa. Again, this is where this is where, they have to get going early and they can't get frustrated. Like, obviously, they did a really good job starting to come back, but as soon as they knew they were gonna lose, they kind of went they let their emotions fly. So, just to give you an example, we're gonna count them up, okay? Oh, whoops. There was 33 penalties in this game, okay? And we've got 33 penalties in this game, 21 were in the 4th quarter, okay? After basically after the 10-minute mark. No, sorry, they pretty much started right away. So, that's crazy, though. That is insane, guys. Halifax, they need to get their emotions under control. I'm gonna be the first one to tell you that. It's their style. I'm gonna be the first one to tell you that as well. This is their style, but you can't just go crazy like that. Like, they were, it's basically once they know they're losing, they're going to beat you up. That's just how Halifax style is. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. I mean, again, in my opinion, you need a guy who can come in here and straighten those other guys out. That's just what you need on the other side, right? Not saying Oshawa isn't going to do that, but I can tell you, I don't know if they would have done what they did to Jameson. I will say that they had the backup in. I don't know if they would have tried to push him around so much. The feed situation, like I said at the beginning, I don't think the punch was intentional. I really don't. And that's my own opinion. Like, you guys, I know there's going to be tons of people who are going to argue, yeah, the punch was intentional, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get it. I don't think it was. I really just don't. I'm going to give Feed the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give Halifax the benefit of the doubt. I haven't seen anything super, super dirty out of them. You can argue it. I get it. But I don't think, like I said, I don't think Halifax is going out there to intentionally hurt anybody. So you got Randy Stotts with 3 goals, 3 assists, much better night the second night, 6 points, 4 loose balls. You have Dawson Feed with 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. You have Clark Peterson with 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. You have Ryan Terfenko with a goal and assist, but 10 loose balls, huge for him. Drew Hutchinson, 2 assists. You have Christian Watts getting his first goal of the season officially. Curtis Ramachurch, one assist. Cody Jameson with an assist. Ethan O'Connor with an assist. Withers with 0 points, 20 loose balls. He's a faceoff guy, though, obviously. Graham Hosack with 6 loose balls. Honestly, at Halifax, it legit, as much as I hate to say this, it just wasn't good enough. You know, we need more discipline. We need more goals. We can't, again, playing back to back, traveling to 2 different cities, it's hard. So was this not to be expected? No, I really don't. I'm not surprised by this. Halifax is still sitting 3-3. I'm not worried about Halifax. Halifax will still be in that top 4. Mark my words. Halifax will be in that top 4 come playoff time. I will die on that hill. So they're a lot better than everybody's giving them credit for right now. Everyone's kind of a Halifax hater right now. And I can tell you guys, you will regret that. You will regret that, especially when they go smash out one of these top level teams. So, and I can't wait for them to play Rochester, honestly. I am looking forward to that game. We got Ty Kurtz, 7 goals, 3 assists for 10 points. 7 goals. There you have it, boys. We found our offense. I fucking love it. I love Oshawa. Oshawa, they have a special place in my heart. Last year, that run they had to the end where they didn't end up coming up big on the last game in San Diego. I love Oshawa. Their goaltending's fantastic. Their players, their Alex Simmons knows how to sell this game. Love Oshawa, man. Ethan Walker, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. Huge. Alex Simmons, 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points with 8 loose ball pickups. Absolutely massive. Tiger Clark, 2 goals. You got Dyson Williams with 4 assists as well. And huge 12 penalty minutes, though, for him. Patrick Cashtalk is a goal and an assist. Jackson Nishimura is a goal. Joel Coyle is an assist. Colton Watkinson is an assist. And you have Nick Trelowski with 8 loose ball pickups. Kyle Rubish with 8 loose ball pickups. And yeah, so you had Dougie. Nope, never mind. Now, as for the goalie goes, Warren Hill had a rough night this week or this game. So he is human, obviously. Definitely not washed. Back-to-back games are hard, so I get it. So he had 22 minutes out there, 23 shots, 15 saves for a 65 save percentage. And Drew Hutchinson was out there for 37 and 38 seconds, 34 shots, 26 saves, and he had 76 save percentage. So again, back-to-back games are hard. I'm not really going to be too harsh on Halifax on this game, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, like I said, if you go look at historical numbers that I can remember and stuff like that, I find a lot of times teams don't do well on the back-to-back games. So, I mean, this is something that's really hard. You're traveling to 2 different cities, and it's just one of those things. At least if you play a back-to-back in your home, you don't have to travel. When you have to travel like that, it's not ideal. Let's just put it that way. So, and then finally we have Buffalo versus Rochester. Rochester beating Buffalo 12-9. This was an upset for me anyway. I know a lot of people were calling out Rochester. A lot of people were Rochester believers. I was not a Rochester believer. I am a Rochester believer now, boys. They did everything this weekend that could have convinced anybody, in my opinion, to be a Rochester believer. I'm telling you right now. They played from behind and won the first game. This game, they beat Buffalo. They did exactly what I said they couldn't. I said they couldn't beat a top level defense. They beat a top level defense. Okay. So They scored on them. I did not think this is the way this was gonna end. You know what? And the one thing is, I will always admit when I'm wrong. And I will always say, what is true. So if the numbers tell me one thing, I'm gonna tell you. And if they tell me something else, that changes my mind, I'm gonna be open to it. Is I think Rochester's a real deal at this point. They have too much scoring power, and it's just too hard to slow them down. I guess it will be interesting to see how they play against a really, really, really like Georgia, Colorado, Saskatchewan, even Halifax when they're on those 4 teams. But at the end of the day, we're getting into where they can't, in my opinion, they can't really score maybe on 2 teams. Maybe they're going to have a harder time scoring on 2 teams. That still doesn't mean they're not top tier. That still doesn't mean they're not the real deal. That still doesn't mean they can't beat those teams. That just means that they're those defenses are really elite level defenses. Super excited to see Rochester go the rest of the season, and I'm won over, boys, is what I'm trying to say. I was wrong. So Buffalo had 2 goals in the first, 3 goals in the second, 0 goals in the third, and 4 goals in the fourth. So Rochester did a great job shutting them down. Rochester had 4 goals in the first, 3 goals in the second, 1 goal in the third, and then 4 goals in the fourth. So Buffalo did try to make a little bit of a comeback there. Too little, too late, though, unfortunately, and it is what it is. So longest drought for Buffalo was over 20 minutes, not acceptable, and Rochester was 13-16. The longest streak was 2 by Buffalo, 3 by Rochester, and the biggest lead was 1 by Buffalo and 4 by Rochester. Time with the lead was only 5 minutes and 37 seconds for Buffalo and 47 minutes, 28 seconds, so majority of the game for Rochester. They only had 7 penalties, just a few minors, really. Yeah. And then finally for the player stats, what do we got? We got Dane Smith killing it, leading this team, a goal and 4 assists for 5 points with 4 loose balls. Kyle Buchanan with 4 goals, massive. You had Josh Byrne with a goal and 3 assists, and I heard somebody say it, the announcer said it, he did end up scoring, but this was going to be like, he scored in every game for like a ton of time. He's got a huge streak going, so glad to see him continue that. A goal and 3 assists for 4 points. You had Ian McKay with a goal and 2 assists, but the big number I want to recognize here is 12 loose balls for him. Absolutely massive. You had Clay Scanlan with a goal and an assist for him with 2 points, 8 loose balls as well. Hoka Nanikope, a goal and an assist for him as well with 4 loose balls. Ron John had 2 assists. Thomas Whitney had an assist. Nick Wise had an assist. Steve Triolo had an assist. Mike Triolo had an assist. 7 loose balls for Wise, 8 loose balls for Whitty. You had, and then on the other side of things, you had Thomas McConvey with 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points, huge 7 loose balls as well. Zed Williams, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points, 4 loose balls. Pretty sure that's his first hat trick of his career. Good for him. Connor Fields, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points, 7 loose balls. You had Ryan Smith with 2 goals, 3 assists, 3 loose balls, and Ryan Launchberry with a goal and 2 assists and 4 loose balls. Kyle Waters had a goal. Taylor Jensen had an assist. Brad McCauley had an assist. Jake Pisano had an assist, and Ian Lord had an assist. Huge. Guys, the one thing you can see out of Rochester, like I said, they've got 4 solid scorers on this team. 5 really solid scorers on this team. And that's what really separates them from the pack, is the way they can just absolutely kill it. Okay. So Matt Vince played like the friggin' whole game pretty much. He had 11 goals against, 48 shots on, 37 saves with a 77.1 save percentage. Really, that's not still too bad. Matt Vince, that's acceptable. It's not that. You need more goals out of his team. Rylan Hartley, 51 shots, 42 saves for an 82.4 save percentage. Rylan Hartley is honestly becoming one of my favorite goalies in the league, one of my favorite players in the league. He's just fantastic. And the kid knows what's up, man. Rochester, man, if he can get consistency out of that kid, Rochester is going to be an absolute scary force, okay? But yeah, the biggest thing with Rochester is just they've proven to me I'm not a hater anymore. Definitely not a hater. Yeah, you can't, like, how do you be a hater when the team's so good, right? Like, that's legit. That's the way I look at things. I can't be a hater when they're this good. And there's no arguing it at this point. Like, there was arguments before. There ain't no arguments now. I'll give it to you guys. All my Rochester fans that like it, that follow me, there you go, boys. I told you, I will always try to tell what I think is the truth. Let's go over the standings here, boys. So we've got Saskatchewan at a 6-5, 5-1. You got Rochester at 4-1. You got Vancouver at 3-1. You got Colorado 3-2. Buffalo's 3-2. Halifax is 3-3. Ottawa's 3-3. Toronto's 2-2. Las Vegas is 2-3. Georgia is 2-3. Oshawa is 2-4. San Diego's 1-3. Philadelphia Wings are 1-3, and Calgary is 1-4. So that's the standings. Who you guys think is the biggest kind of surprise so far? If I had to choose somebody, the biggest shocker to me is, I'm trying to see who I thought Oshawa might be sitting in a bit of a better position right now. Las Vegas maybe a little bit as well, but honestly, this looks pretty accurate to what I said. I will say the one team that's in there, maybe Colorado. I didn't think would be this high. Maybe Colorado's the biggest surprise to me, honestly, personally, I would say. But other than that, Rochester a little bit too for me, I would say. I know that's not surprising to everybody else, but this is still anybody's league. This is still anybody's game. Even Calgary coming in, swinging and make playoffs. It's going to be an uphill battle. Yes. Have they had a very tough schedule to start? 100. So they played against a lot of good teams. They can go beat these kind of like lower tiered to mid tier teams and get some wins. You never know. And I will again be proven wrong. So let's go look at the players now. We'll look at the players. We'll go look at the goalie stats as well. So let's start with, okay. So leading the league right now with absolutely no surprise is Jeff T. 6 games played, 14 goals, 30 assists for 44 points. Next, you got Connor Fields with 16 goals, 5 games played, 16 goals, 23 assists, 39 points. So those two are really leading the league. Then you've got Robert Hellier with 14 goals, 23 assists for 37 points. You've got Dane Smith with 13 goals, 24 assists for 37 points. Ryan Keenan and Mitch Jones both have 34 points. Or Ryan Keenan has 15 goals, 19 assists. Mitch Jones has 14 goals, 20 assists. You've got Alex Simmons with 14 goals, 19 assists for 33 points. So he's like top 7 player of the league right now. You got Riley O'Connor as well, which is another surprise. A lot of people probably didn't have him off this high. 11 goals, 22 assists for 33 points. Josh Burns, 5 goals, 10 assists for 33 points. And then Ryan Launchberry with 9 goals, 24 assists, 33 points. All these guys are having amazing right now. Points per game, Connor Fields is edging it out at 7.8 points per game. Jeff T 7.3. Dean Smith is 7.4. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And then you got Mitch Jones at 6.8. So that's still pretty high too. But there's your thing. Let's see if we go to power play goals right now are Ryan Keenan's leading the league. And Dane Smith with 6. Shorties. You've got Keegan Ball with 2 shorthanded goals. You've got Keegan Ball, Nolan Byrne, the rookie, with 2 shorthanded goals. Curtis Dixon with 2 shorthanded goals. Will Malcolm with 2 shorthanded goals. And Dylan McIntosh with 2 shorthanded goals. So huge for them, especially for Nolan there, man. As a rookie to have, it's only 2, don't get me wrong, and it's still early, but damn, that's impressive in my opinion. And then loose ball percentage. Now, here's where we kind of get into it a little bit. We're going into, so Jake Withers has the most loose balls, which is kind of every season, 80 loose balls, but he's got a 72.9 save or face-off percentage as well. So obviously he's taking face-offs. So that's a little bit of an asterisk there a little bit. But Callum Jones, 61 loose balls, man. This kid is a stud. And obviously doesn't take the face-offs. Next, you got same thing. You got a Mike Messenger, 57 loose balls, again a face-off guy. You got Justin Anasio, 55 loose balls, but again a face-off guy. Then you got a Will Johansson with 49 loose balls. Got Grant Hosack that doesn't want to face-off, but he's obviously not the main face-off guy. 48 loose balls as well. Zach Currier with 47 and Robert Hope with 47. I love Robert Hope. He's such an animal. So there you have it. There's some loose ball stats. Now we're gonna go into face-off. Trevor Baptiste. He's got. Are you ready for this? 8 face-off percentage. That is massive, massive. It's unfortunate that it's not enough to help his team win, but he's still huge. Jake Withers, 72.9%. Tim Edwards with a 66. Jake Nasso with 66 as well. Pilato with 64. Got Nacio with 63. He'd probably be higher too, though, if he didn't have that one bad game against Baptiste. But you see where it is, right? So and then we'll give Phil Muzuka with 60. So there you guys have it. There's your face-off leaders as well. Goalies. Of course, we have to go look at the goalies. So right now, I'm going to tell you how the league is the save percentage. So let's go into just, so we're going to go through gate save percentage here because I think that's obviously a massive stat. You got Brett Dobson with an 86.9 save percentage through 5 games. You want me to repeat that? 86.9 save percentage through 5 games. He's had 252 shots on him already. He's got 219 saves, and he's got a 6.71 goal against average. Holy cow, and he's a 2-3. That's wild. That is wild, guys. Then, now I'm going to skip the next one down because it's Shanahan. He's only played 5 minutes. I'm just going to talk about starting goalies. Whittam's also up there as well, but again, I'm going to skip him because he's only played 15 minutes total. Halifax, Mr. Warren Hill has he's got an 82.9 save percentage, absolutely huge. 8.64 goals against average, still massive. Shots on goals 205, saves are 170, just massive. He's 3-1. Or 3-2, sorry. Then you got Christian Del Bianco right there as well. 82.9 save percentage, 3-1. Smaller sample size, but still killing it. And he's got, Warren Hill had a 911 or goal against average. Christian has a 864. I apologize. And then Dougie's doing it well too. He's got an 82.2 save percentage, 8.71. And he's a 1-4, which is insane. Dylan Ward has an 81.7. He's got 9 goals against average and he's 3-2. You've got Ryan Hartley with a 992 goal against average, and he's an 80.8. And then you go down the list. Nick Rose still holding 79.9. I think he finished with that at the end of the season last season. So you know what you're going to get out of Nick Rose. 2-2, 9.73. goals against average. So that's huge. And even Frankie's at 79.4 and Nick Demu's at a 79. Right. And then it kind of falls off after that. So there you have it, guys. There's your goalies. So right now, who you taking as the best goalie in the league? I mean, right now, honestly, I got to like, it's hard not to give it to Brett Dobson. He's just like absolutely killing it. If he just had some offense, man, it would be a completely different game over there. So just absolutely huge, man. I love this sport so much. It's crazy. And yeah, so my power rankings this week. So my power rankings, obviously, we're going to go like this. All right. So we're going to go back in the standings to look at the teams real quick. Okay. So my power rankings, I'm going to put Saskatchewan at 1. We're going to keep Rochester. We're going to put Rochester at 2. I cannot deny that at this point. Vancouver's at 3. I do think that Vancouver might be better than Rochester, but Vancouver, the way they only beat Calgary in a shootout, or not a shootout, in overtime is a little bit concerning to me. So that's why I'm going to have them at 3. This is where it gets tough, man. It really does. At 4, I know this is going to be one of those things that I know I'm going to be kind of on my own island here. Halifax at 4. That second game is not what Halifax is as a team. I'm going to put them at 4. I think they're way better than what that showed. And you're going to see they've lost to Saskatchewan twice and then had a bad game against Oshawa. This team's way better than their record shows. Then I'm going to put Buffalo at 5, still killing it, but Rochester loss. They should have. That's a game they needed to win. At 6, I'm going to put Colorado at 6, showing they've been pretty consistent at this point. Ottawa's going to be at 7. Again, they've had some really high level wins. And I think that even though they lost against Halifax, like I said, Halifax is an absolute beast of a team. They're beating teams that no one else really can. So I'm going to put them at 7. I got to keep them in my top 8. And then finally, the 8th spot is where it gets a little bit interesting. I'm going to have to put 8 as a Toronto Rock. Vegas, to me, does not have the back end right now to be in that top 8. I'm going to have to put the Rock there. I think the Rock with the rookies, Nick Rose has been really good goaltending wise. They've got a pretty decent solid defense. I think that Toronto Rock's better than the record shows, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. So there you have it. There's my top 8 right there, boys. There's my power rankings for the week. And I will say, just out of thing, I think San Diego's the worst team in the league right now. That's just the way. No hate. Like, I mean, I guess there is some hate there, but it's not really. Like, go and prove me wrong. But this team does not look. They look like what I thought they were going to look like at the beginning of the season, and then they had that nice little preseason, good starting week, and then after that, it's been just downhill. So we need to figure something out in San Diego and go from there, right? So offensive player of the week. Okay, so offensive player of the week, I'm going to go with Alex Simmons. The guy has been carrying this Oshawa team for weeks and weeks, and I got to give it to him. He had 2 goals, 7 assists for 9 points. Was he the guy that put up the most points in this league? No, this week. But I just think I have to give it to him. He won the game, and he's been fantastic week in and week out. So my personal pick is Alex Simmons. I know there's definitely some other options out there. Don't get me wrong. I completely understand if somebody came and yelled at me for this one. But I will say that with what I've seen this weekend, I think with what I've seen this weekend, it was just so good. And I can't deny Alex Simmons has just been absolute lights out. And he had a fantastic weekend. So I you know what? Screw it. I have no issues with giving him this award this week. He absolutely killed it. And then for my defense player of the week, I have to give it to a guy on Georgia, just because, like, honestly, as much as Colorado kept him to 5, or no, actually, I guess I have to go with Colorado. Yeah, I'll give him. So if we're talking pure defense here, my defense player of the week is going to go to, I could easily give it to Robert Hope. I got to give it to somebody on the Colorado team just because of how good the team played defensively. But I'm going to go with Jordan Gillis. Absolutely amazing performance. 10 loose ball pickups. Just absolutely killed it this weekend. And to be honest with you, I just every time I watch this Colorado team, this Colorado defense, they are just slowly, like I said, they're reeling me in to become a fan of their team because they are just amazing players. They really are. A goalie of the week, man, it's hard. You know what? As much as this again is going to be a little bit controversial, I got to give it to Brett Dobson with that 89 save percentage. It's the guy. Like, if he had a better offense, he would have won that game. It's just his offense just getting peppered constantly, and he still just comes up huge. So Brett Dobson again is going to be my goalie of the week. I think it was my goalie of the week last year. He, in my opinion, right now has got to be, if he can drag his team somehow, if he can just get the offense going, he's going to win goalie of the year. There's no way you can snub this kid. There's no way. He's got to be goalie of the year if he continues this play. Like, I don't care. I will go down dying like that. Anyway, those are my players of the week. Yeah. Holy shit, we got. Okay. So finally, let's go right into the preview of the week 8, what it's going to look like. There's a lot of big games going on here. So first off, kicking off the week at 7:30 on Friday, we got Colorado versus Halifax. Colorado, are they going to bring their whole offense? I can tell you, I love Colorado, right? I'm high on them. Halifax is winning this game. They've had 3 out of 4 losses. They're back in the nest. No joke. The nest is no joke. They pack that thing. There's over 10,000 fans in there usually, and it is loud in there. Halifax loves playing in front of that crowd. They've had a rough go the last couple weeks. They've been on the road the last few weeks. It's time to go home, get a win, show this league that you are a serious contender. As much as I love Colorado, as much as I love the offense they've got going on there, I think Halifax has more scoring options than Colorado does. Andrew Q being back will be a massive help. I don't know if he's going to be. Ryan Lee just not being there is a massive loss for them, and unfortunately, it's hard to reproduce that amount of offense. It's unfortunate. With that being said, Halifax has taken this game. I just can't see them not. I think it's going to be obviously a lower scoring game. Both goalies have been playing fantastic. Let's call it. I think it's going to be higher than people think, though. Let's call it 11-8 Colorado. That's what I think we're going to get. Next, we got Ottawa versus Buffalo. Ottawa versus Buffalo. Buffalo has to win this game after losing last week. Ottawa, this is another big opportunity for them to go into Banditland and to steal a win. They've already beat Saskatchewan this year. They have the talent to beat Buffalo. They just lost to Halifax this last weekend. I know it's going to be one of those things. This is going to be a weird game. Right now, I'm going to take Buffalo, but by the end of the week, I could switch my opinion on this. This is going to be it's hard to bet against Buffalo in Buffalo. That's the truth of it. How do you go against them? But some reason my gut is telling me Ottawa. You know what? We're going to take Ottawa for the upset on this week. I believe in Ottawa. I think Buffalo, as much as I love them, and I think they play really well at home and stuff, they're coming off a loss. They got beat up by Rochester. I think Ottawa needs to win a bit more than Buffalo in this particular case. And I think Ottawa is going to shock the world, just like they did when they beat Saskatchewan. And they're going to go in and beat Buffalo in Banditland. Let's call it out right now. Let's take a dive. My gut's telling me it, and I got to go. And I'm going to say for that one, Higgins has to be better. I will say for that. Callum's been amazing on the back end there, and I think that Jeff T, Robert Hellier are going to have a better game. They've got some, they've got O'Connor there too. I think right away, I think Ottawa takes it. I'm going to say it's going to be like a 13-9 game for Ottawa. No, it'll be higher than that. Let's go 15-13 Ottawa. Let's go for that one. We got Calgary versus Georgia. To be honest, guys, I think Calgary beats Georgia. I do. I think Georgia has a fantastic defense, but Calgary is better than people think. Georgia doesn't have offense. They just don't. They just don't have any scorers, and that's the problem. You can't stop them. Calgary can put up. Look what they just did against Buffalo. You can't tell me they can't go do that against Georgia. Brett Dobson cannot keep standing on his head, and you can't expect him to get an 89 save percentage every game. I'm going to take Calgary. I'm going to say it's a low-scoring game. I still think Brett Dobson keeps it lower, but I think it's going to be like I'll say 10-7, 10-7 game Calgary wins. Vancouver over San Diego. Next game, you have to take Vancouver. San Diego, this is what I was talking about. When I was going through every week by week game, I just didn't see where San Diego was getting wins. And that's what everyone's like, you're nuts, blah, blah, blah. Well, I can tell you, who do you think is going to win this week? So then San Diego's going to be 1-4. Oh, so I guess maybe I wasn't so off my rocker at the beginning of the season. I know I am for a lot of stuff, but San Diego just doesn't do it for me. Vancouver's coming off a game that they really didn't play. I would say their best level game. I think this is kind of a proven game. They're back at home. And I just think they mop the floor with San Diego. So I'm gonna say 15-9 for this one or something. Like it's gonna be a blowout by Vancouver. You got next game, you got Toronto versus Rochester. This is an interesting one. Toronto's got a lot of young guys. Nick Rose has been absolutely solid with that. Like I said, I'm not a Rochester hater anymore. I think Rochester takes this. They're at home. The offense, I think, is just too much. And it's not even just the offense. It's the veteran team that they have. Their veteran presence huge. Next, you got Oshawa versus Saskatchewan. Now, this one, I'm not going to take Oshawa in this game. Saskatchewan at home is almost next to impossible to beat. If Oshawa can go in there and get them, great. Saskatchewan did show that they can get scored on, but I think they're going to clean that up this week, and their offense is just too deep. I'm going to take Saskatchewan on this. I cannot see Oshawa going into Saskatchewan and beating them. And finally, we got Philly, Las Vegas, closing out the weekend, and I'm going to take Las Vegas. Las Vegas needs a win here. Philadelphia, like I said, they're going to be at the bottom of the league this year. Las Vegas, so the position they're putting themselves in, they need to win. This is the perfect game to win. This is going to be a shootout game. I'm calling a high scoring game. I think Vegas puts up 18, and I think Philadelphia puts up about 12. I'm going to call 18-12 as the final score for this one. So there you have it, guys. There you have it. If you're still listening at this point, I don't even know. I don't know how. I can't. You guys are going to have to let me know what you think about this format. If you hate it, I might have to figure something else out, because I'm going to be over 2 hours for each of these podcasts with an interview. So, and you know what? Some people really like these in depth. Loose Mesh does the long podcast. I know, like, they're over 2 hours a lot of times. I know Lacrosse Classified kind of tries to keep to about an hour and a half. That's kind of where I like my podcast to be if I was sitting here ideally. But if I have a really good interview and I have a really good podcast with a lot to get in here, we're going to have to be putting a lot into these podcasts. So I'd prefer to put out good quality, in-depth stuff rather than try to, essentially just not put out this kind of stuff. With all that being said, guys, that's it for me. I know I've rambled on way too long, probably. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Go follow all my socials, like I mentioned at the beginning. Give me some likes, some comments. Tell me what you like. Let me know if you like this format or if this is messed up. Should I go back to two box lacrosse podcast week? Because if I hear enough of pushback after this week, I will go back to it. But I really am looking forward to getting to the field side of things. With that being said, my name is Jake McDonald. I am Anything Lacrosse. And this is the game that never sits still. I love you guys. If you're still listening, please just leave me a comment so I know you're a top fan, whatever, top follower, whatever you want to call yourself. I would love to do a meetup with some of my fans, all that kind of stuff when I go to the next Halifax game. I'm really considering going down Friday night. I have to see if I can make it work, but I'm going to try. So with that being said, guys, thanks for being here. Love you all. And we'll talk to you guys soon.